Y'all remember the Danish deception, aka the Danish dummy, aka the Danish loser, aka tell me why I found out they still together? In the Reddit threads, a young lady was expressing her frustration with the Danish deception because she felt like for real what was happening was Onyeka was just obsessed with this man because he's a European white man and she act like she ain't never seen that type of man before. Now, as I was reading through this at the very bottom, it said, did they break up? And the commenter said, unfortunately, no. She's a director at his fake company now. I'm not sure if he has her so strung along she thinks it's a real job or if she's just decided that's what she's doing now. It's a mess. Of course, we have already summarized the story and said what was going on, but this time we're going to actually bounce around her 28-page essay about how this man treated her wrong just for her to go back to him. And I'm just, going to make it funny. What's up, my friends? And welcome back once again to the Just Case and Brand. I'm your homegirl, I'm your tia, I'm your prima, I'm your cousin, I'm your friend, I'm whatever you need me to be down here at the Just Case and Brand. If you're new to the community, what's up? What we like to do down here is talk about people business that ain't got nothing to do with us, but they done put it on the internet. And if they put it on the internet, that means they want us to what? Pay attention to it and, gossip about it. That's what we do down here. If that sounds like your vibe, then please consider subscribing to the tribe. Take a look around. I'm sure you're going to find something that you like down here. If you're already a member of the neighborhood, stupid is as stupid does. And she was being stupid. Well, that didn't go over the way I was hearing it in my head. Anyway, we're about to cackle at our ass. And let me tell you, I'm just pulling out the highlights of this long ass story. I'm going to give you a...
And the first thing that came to my mind was, this man looks like he is walking straight out of a Calvin Klein ad. And I'm telling you guys, 6'3", blonde hair, blue eyes, chiseled skin, so tan, muscles everywhere. I was definitely taken aback. And I feel like it takes a lot for me to really double take a man just based on his looks like that. And 100%, I was a little bit I didn't even realize that he was like with a friend first. And so I'm still minding my own business, keeping it chill. And he looks over at me and he says, how are the drinks? And I said, the drinks are wonderful. We're just sipping mojitos. He said, should I get this all around? And I said, absolutely. Number one, he's cute. Number two, we want a free mojito. So I said, yes, we got a round of drinks. And we're sipping our drinks and we just start small talking and ask them where they're from. And they say that they're both from Denmark. My ex was living in Copenhagen, and then his friend was living in a smaller town called Aalborg, which is north of Copenhagen, and that was actually my ex's hometown. That his friend was living there. And so we were just small talking the whole time. We didn't really talk about a whole lot of things. It was just like, where are you from? And just basic things. But they were asking us, what's your plan for the rest of the trip? And we told them, we're doing a full day boat excursion tomorrow, and then we're going to dinner tonight at this place called Valentino. And he said, oh, how's the dinner spot? And I was like, I don't know, but I got recommended by a friend to go there. And he's like, okay, well, maybe we'll meet up with you guys again later. And I said, sure. So we're getting a little bit tired, so we decided that it's time for us to leave. And so as we're leaving, I decided to make a bold move and just ask him for his Instagram. And obviously, I'm trying to be a little sly, so I asked him and his friend for their Instagrams, and we exchanged Instagrams. We get into our taxi to go back to our Airbnb, and we're literally en route to our Airbnb, and I get a DM from him, and he basically said, it was so nice meeting you. Happened at Valentino. Maybe we'll see you guys later. Didn't read anything into it. I just was like,
okay. She want us to believe that when he walked up to her, she thought to herself he was fresh out a Calvin Klein ad. So he looked like this. That's what she's saying. No. He, girl, desperation at its finest. Just say I ain't never seen a man be intrigued by me, and I thought to myself, I'ma just go for it. And even going to have dinner with him in the same evening when you just landed with your homegirl, she was saying I'm such jet lagged and me and my friend, we just seen him and he said us and he asked us if we wanted to. Why would I go out with this the first night in a different place if I'm thinking about knocking down the finest thing in wherever they was at? Why? I don't want you sitting up by me and people gonna think that we together. Then you gonna mess up my game. I can't even get nobody else's number because I'm sitting here next to this damn gremlin and they thinking I ain't got no standards because you talking to me and they know who you are around here. I'm the one who don't know. Get away.
Just have a conversation with a cute guy. And so we go back to our Airbnb, we get dressed, we get ready for dinner, and we're like on our way to dinner, and he is like messaging me about the restaurant and asking us details about it. I didn't think anything of it. But we sit down, we're having dinner, we have a spectacular dinner, and we're finishing off the evening with our desserts, aka espresso martinis. And I'm sipping my drink and I look up and I see him and his friend at the restaurant. And they walk up over to us and I'm like, oh hey, he's like, yeah, like they're a little booked up, but they said they can like see us in like 20 minutes. I was like, oh cool, well we're about to be done, but we'll go grab a drink, maybe we can like meet up later. And he said, okay, sounds good. So it's kind of awkward timing because we were finishing up dinner while they like hadn't even been sat yet. And so we went to a bar across the street and we were grabbing drinks, and I hit a wall and I was like, okay, now I need to go to sleep. And I was super jet lagged. And so I sent him a DM just basically saying, hey, we are so tired, we have a full boat excursion tomorrow, I don't think we're gonna stay out much later. And he's like, that's totally fine. And so the next day we wake up, we get on the boat, and I start obviously posting.
And another thing, I ain't asking a man for shit. I ain't asking him about his Instagram. I'm not asking to exchange no phone numbers. Been there, tried that, especially when you're a woman who's attractive or have any sort of confidence, or you're funny, or just, people are attracted to you because of the light inside of you. Men will be staring you down in your eyes, looking you dead in your face. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, he's going to come over and talk to me. Let me make sure I'm giving him open body language. I'm smiling. I'm looking directly at him. They still don't come over. So then I thought to myself, okay, well, let me start going up to them because maybe they, a little nervous because of everything I just described. We'll go up to them, get their numbers, and they start getting a chip on their damn shoulder and think to themselves, oh, I'm about to talk to her. I want to talk to her. So you came up and you got my number. What was it about me that attracted you to me? I don't know motherfucker, you was sitting across the room just staring at me, and I figured if you ain't gonna make the first move, maybe I should. Oh, well, all right then. So what you think when you tried to link up with me? And see, that right there is exactly why I don't. Nah, because you ain't the damn prize. I don't care how much you make. I don't care if you ain't got no kids. You're not the damn prize. All right, let's just be prizes to each other. But if you want to take the lead, be the leader. Come and get my Instagram. Come and get my phone number. I ain't got Snapchat. I mean, I got it, but shit, I don't use it. But come get that first. I ain't coming to your ass first, please.
Like all my cute photos, like remember I took a photo driving the boat and like we were just, having fun. And I was like looking at my Instagram story and I see he's like hearting every single story and like he's responded to a couple of them. I am not the type of person that reads very much into activity on social media like that, but it was something that I noticed. And so, we continued on with that for like a day and a half. And then he reaches out to me and he says, hey, like, what are you guys doing? And at this time, it is our last night in Havar. And he said, what are you guys doing tonight? And I said, we don't really have plans because we didn't. And he said, well, do you guys want to come to dinner with us? And me and my friend were like, absolutely, sure. And she wasn't really down to go. I kind of forced her because I was like, this guy's hot and it's a dinner. Like, let's just go. It'll be fun. And so she's a good friend. So she came with me and we get to the restaurant and him and his friend are sitting across from each other. So obviously I took the seat next to him. I was sitting across from my friend. And we're sitting there having a wonderful dinner and drinking tons of wine. And I come up with this idea to play this game where I'm asking his best friend to describe what my ex's type was. And because we were obviously like vibing with each other. And I was just curious. And so his best friend starts listing off everything like good morals, hard worker, all these things. And like I felt like he was describing me. And after his friend was done talking, my best friend basically said, aside from being a good cook, she checks off every single box. And I remember I looked.
Are y'all hearing this? It's like, okay, so she asked his friend. I'm not trying to ask you if your friend like me or if he's talking about me while y'all been together stealing people's pocketbooks. But if he had to choose a perfect girl, not of this world, who would it be? And for some odd reason, this little ugly dude says black, long braids, nice dresses, not real nice dresses, and likes to ride boats and sip mojitos. And she's like, oh my God. It's like he's talking about me. And her friend's so damn stupid. Her friend's so damn stupid. Oh my gosh. Or she might be tipsy already. It's like, you guys, aside from her not knowing how to cook, y'all would be the perfect people together. And I could really see it from my friend because we was praying about it and we was asking God, when are you going to marry us? And you know what? Then we met y'all. Let's get married.
My ex, and I said, but I will become a great cook for a good man. And he starts laughing. I remember I put my hand on his leg, and that was the first time in my life that I felt that instant electricity from someone's touch. I literally felt like I was getting shot. And we instantly had this physical attraction towards each other. And we started talking about what we did for work, and I told him that I was working as a real estate agent and in tech. And then he told me I'm actually chief commercial officer for an ad tech company that does marketing for real estate companies. So I was working in real estate tech, and he was working in real estate tech, and everything just like felt like it was aligning. But again, I'm like, this guy was a pagan. There's nothing to company. So after dinner, we go and grab some drinks at a bar nearby, and we grabbed one drink, and they're definitely gearing up to go back out. And it was our last night, and my friend really did not want to go out. And I'm not the type of girl to ever leave my friend for a man, never in a million years. So I ended up just saying, hey, I think we're gonna.
You a lie. You a lie, girl. As soon as you got there, you said, where is the sausage? Huh? Where's the men who giving it out? Who can I see and who can see inside of me? Hey, homegirl, shut up. You don't want none, huh? You ain't looking for something that's a little different, something a little spicy sausage, girl? Come on, we out here. You did that as soon as y'all landed in wherever y'all was at. What you talking about? I'm that type of friend who always picks my friends over my friends. Unless a pain walks in between.
Call it a night and we're gonna head out. And he was respectful of that 100%. And I remember we just hugged goodbye and we left and that was it. And so we're going back to our Airbnb, we're walking home and I get a DM from him and he said, it was so nice meeting you. I hope it's not the last time. Also, South Africa's happening. I can see it. And the reason why he said that was because I was telling him that I had wanted to go to South Africa that following Christmas and because my family was gonna be traveling. And he said, I've always dreamt of going to South Africa. And I jokingly was like, well, you're invited if you want to come. And so whenever he made that comment to me in the DM, I was like, okay, sure. I'm not thinking anything of it, right? At this point, whatever. Like this guy lives 5,000 miles away from me. I'm not thinking anything of it. So the next day, my friend goes back to Germany and I go to Barcelona to meet up with some friends. And again, I'm like posting throughout my trip and every time I look at my phone, it's like he's DMing me, messaging me, and he's continuing all of this. And I'm just a little bit shocked, but also like very interested still at the same time. And he was remembering things that I told him at dinner. Like I had told him that I was going to buy a Chanel bag because I wanted to reward myself for working hard. And he had messaged me and been like, hey, did you get your Chanel bag? And I was literally like drunk off sangrias in my bikini and cover up in the Chanel store when I got that DM. And I sent him a selfie and he said, this is the best photo I've ever seen. I just like felt like I could just be myself with him already. And we were just getting along and having good conversation. So again, he doesn't even have my phone number at this point. We were literally just flirting through DMs. So
he gave her the basic ass compliments. What kind of things are you looking to do in your life? I'm looking to get a Chanel bag and I'm also looking to get a G-Wagon. That's the night before. The next day he's texting her, I remember that you like Chanel bags. Yes, you do. I remember that your eyebrows are brown and sometimes a little black on the ends. I remember. And she's like, can you see through me? Can you see into my brain and into my soul? Oh.
I ended up leaving Barcelona the next day, and I land, and he sends me a message, and he said, what are you doing this weekend? Do you want to go to Ibiza? And I saw the message, and I was like, what? And we will continue the Danish deception part 2. Okay, so he sent me this message saying, you should come to Ibiza.
Damn Ibiza.
And he's like, I'll send you the flight, everything will be paid for. And I thought about it for a second because, come on, who wouldn't want to go to Ibiza? And then I thought a couple of reasons why I didn't want to go was mainly because I just bought a Chanel bag, so I was like, I want to work and make more money. And also, I felt like this is the type of guy that things come easy for him, and this is not something that's going to be easy for you to obtain. And I didn't want our first weekend to be like just partying together with all of his friends. Like, that's not what I wanted. So I ended up telling him no, but I just ended up saying that I needed to work. And I thought he was never going to talk to me again. But somehow this like lit a fire under him, and he became even more persistent, and he started pursuing me even more. And he was sending me messages like, when are you going to come visit me in Copenhagen? Or I would love to come to Dallas to come see you. And I was just like, who is this man and what's happening? Still not really taking him serious. And then maybe like a couple weeks later, he sent me another message. And at this point, we're still talking pretty consistently on Instagram. We still do not have each other's numbers. And he sent me
No, I ain't going nowhere if I ain't got your number. You ain't about to take me out the country and can't nobody find me. Hell no, I'm liable to put a tracker on your shit just in case you think you about to kidnap me out of the country. You got another thing coming. Give me your number. Give me your location. When I get to you, I'm going to put something on you. Make sure my sister's got my GPS, my coordinates, latitude and longitude in case I got to go an old school way or get a fighter jet. I don't know. I'm getting your number. I'm getting your information. I don't know you. I met you in a different country. We're DMing about stupid shit about us taking trips together. Remember she was in that golf cart?
Hey, I have a work conference coming up in Monaco, and I would love for you to come. And I read that message, and I was like, near the south of France, like that Monaco? And he was like, yeah, like I can get you your flight, and everything will be taken care of. And I was like, okay, think about it, because I didn't want to say yes on the spot, but I was like, okay, this is something I definitely want to consider. So I thought about it for a while. I talked to my friends about it, I talked to my sisters about it. At first, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do it. Like, this is crazy. And then over time, I started like talking myself into it. And then one morning, I woke up and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go to Monaco. So I sent him a message.
Screw
and I
it.
decided I'm gonna
Frickin' screw it.
He said, this is the best day ever. I'm so happy. Send me your passport and everything. I'll book the flight. So I sent him a picture of my passport, and I also was like, oh, and by the way, here's my phone number. He was like, I've been waiting for you to give this to me for now like weeks. And I said, okay, here you go. Thank you for like inviting me on this trip. So I gave him my phone number, and he sent me a message, and he said,
did your ass send them pictures of your debit card too? Your credit card, your social security number, your birth certificate, your renter's insurance, your taxes? You send them what you had to file last year for your business?
Long enough. And I said, oh yeah, well, sorry, I'm just a little bit more reserved when it comes to like dating and men. Like I just like to make sure like I'm a very intentional person. And he was just so respectful to me. I remember when he was booking the flights and everything, he was like, don't worry, like I'll get you your own hotel room. Like he was just being so respectful. And so I remember our very first phone call so perfectly because he came completely out of the blue. It was like on like a Tuesday. And I'm sitting at my work desk, and he sends me a message. He's like, can I call you? And I was like, oh, he wants to call me. And I'm literally discombobulated, freaking out. Like, what am I gonna do when this man actually calls me? But I was like, you need to get together. So he calls me.
Say hello.
And he's actually in a cab to the airport. He's about to go on a work trip, and we were just small talking about our day. And I felt like those like butterflies that I felt whenever we had been together at dinner in Croatia. And I remember getting off the phone with him, and I was just sitting there like cheesing, like, which I don't ever do. And I was just, this guy is special. And he sent me a message. He's like, you are so cute. Like, I love talking to you. And I said, I love talking to you too. And so basically from that moment on, we just started talking on the phone all the time for 1 hour.
I don't know about you, but I ain't cute. And a damn thing cute about me. What you think? I'm a cupcake? Huh? You think I'm a little Christmas decoration? Oh, that's cute. That's cute. I'm beautiful. Okay.
Hours a day. We started talking about a lot of things, about a lot of different aspects of our lives. He was telling me that, he was living in Copenhagen, he was living in this condo. Obviously, he knew that I lived in Dallas, and then we started talking about past relationships. And I told him, I was very honest, I said, I actually haven't had like a truly serious relationship before. I have always been a very independent person, but I do want to meet someone. I do want to, like,
okay. I missed that. No wonder why she's so green. If this is her first real relationship, I hope this the first time you had sex. That's what I do hope. I hope you ain't just been running around here having situationships and letting people just be all around you, if you know what I mean.
I don't feel like that pressure to like force it. Like I have such a great example with my parents, and I really want to have like an amazing love in this lifetime. And so I'm gonna take my time to find that. And I asked him like, what's your history with your dating? And he was like, yeah, well, I actually was in a relationship with a girl. We were together for about 4 years, and I actually broke up with her about 4 months before I met you. And I said, oh my gosh, like 4 years is a long time. He said, yeah, like it needed to happen for a while. And really what happened was that she told him that she was ready to have kids, and he wasn't ready to have kids. And I guess that forced him to realize that she wasn't the one. And they were living together, so it was like a really hard situation to get out of. But he finally was able to do so. And so I was happy to hear that it had been about 4 months since they broke up, because if he had said that they had just broken up, I would have been a little bit more hesitant to pursue things, because I know like you go through a breakup, you need time to heal. But I felt like, okay, 4 months should be enough time. And then we started talking about like our families a little bit too. I told him I'm super close with my family. He said I'm really close with my mom and my little sister. I do have an older sister that I don't talk to, and basically something happened, and she was like being like physically abusive towards his mom, and he decided to cut her out of his life because she's crazy.
That part never came back up in the story either. So I think he was, I mean, of course we all know he was lying about the issues with his family. We know that.
And I said, listen, I get that. That makes sense. Like you should not have her in your life. And I think just like over the course of a month, we were talking on the phone for just hours. And I tell people all the time that I felt like we fell in love over the phone, because from the time that I had decided to go to Monaco to the time that I actually left for Monaco, it was a month. And we had this plan that we weren't going to FaceTime at all, because we wanted the next time we saw each other to be in person, which I thought at the time was super romantic. And so we started talking about like hypotheticals. I remember he told me one day, he said, if we ever end up getting married, you're going to meet the queen. And I remember just like laughing at that comment. And he said, no, I'm being serious. And I said, what do you mean I'll meet the queen? And he said, well, my family has a royal title. And I was like, wait, what? And he sent me this link to this site. It's called the Order of the Elephants. And he said, you can do some research and then we can talk about it. And I said, okay. So I start going through the page that he sent me, and I see someone that had the same last name as him, like some old guy from like the 1700s. And I remember taking a screenshot. And I said, is this your great grandpa? And he goes, now you're getting on track. My next question to you is, how's your etiquette? And I was like, I mean, I think it's okay. And so I'm sitting here like, who is this man? He's attractive. He has a great job. He has a royal title. Like, is there anything wrong with him at this point? And I have always believed in the term, it's too good to be true. But I mean, and I was feeling that 100%. Like I felt like, when's the other shoe gonna drop? But it didn't drop that first month.
He said, hey, bitch. And I mean it in the sense of a dog and not a bitch. He said, hey, bitch, let me tell you something. I'm a royal Great Dane. Here I am. I want you to look on Puppies Powwow. Martin is my name, bowwow.org. You gonna see my last name, freaking Schirkendorf. Yeah, my granddaddy is Martioni, freaking Schirkendorf. My great-grandfather on my great-grandfather's great cousin's side, twice removed, twice added back in on an incest type of deal. Frank Luca Makash, girl, I'm royalty. Now let me ask you something. You trained? You got good etiquette? You know how to when I tell your ass? Huh? Do you? And if I tell your ass to sit, you better say yes, sir. Matter of fact, I don't even want you to say that. I want you to sit down real fast, cross your legs. Think you can do that? Yes, sir. I feel that I can be the type of bitch that you need. My etiquette is great. I travel well. I'm a great companion. I know how to fetch. I know how to sit. I listen well to commands. I'm your support animal. Choose me.
Just like we truly fell in love over the phone. And so we are getting closer and closer to the trip to Monaco, and I start packing. And I feel like that's like when the nerves start hitting me, was when I'm packing, like, oh my goodness, this is actually happening. And I remember my sister was like, you put air tags in like all your bags. And I'm like, I don't need to put air tags in anything. Like, I trust this man. Like, I know like it's gonna be okay. Like every part of me felt like so safe with him already, which was crazy because I hadn't really spent much time with him. Maybe this is trauma from being on The Bachelor. I'm not sure. But I felt very safe with him. And so the day comes where I'm supposed to go on the trip. And so I order my Uber, I get to the airport, and I felt like it was kind of like a good sign because I posted that I was at DFW, and one of my really good girlfriends texted me that lives in a different state. She was like, hey, I'm actually in DFW too. And I was like, oh my gosh. So she comes meet me at my terminal. She's like, where are you going? I go, I'm actually going to Monaco to meet this guy that I met in Croatia. And she was like, this is insane. And so I just felt like seeing that friend was like a good sign. I don't know why. And I ended up just boarding the flight. I remember boarding that first flight. I had a layover in Madrid. Boarding that first flight, I was sitting there and I was like, this shit is really happening. And all the nerves are just taking over. But I'm like, take a chill pill. It's gonna be okay. You're gonna get there. It's gonna be fine. And at that point, I was like, okay, the worst thing that happens is like he's a crazy person, and I have enough money where I can like just book my own hotel and I'll just have a good time by myself. Like it'll be fine. So I like had that back link because we were just like going at it, like kissing, and I was like, this taxi driver's gonna start feeling super uncomfortable. So we're like, we need to stop. And so we get to the hotel, we check in, we get to the hotel room, and let's just say we had a wonderful time multiple times. Mom and Dad, I'm so sorry for that part. We ended up going to dinner afterwards, and I just remember sitting here and I was like, I feel like this is my dream come true being here with you. And he said, I feel like this is my dream come true. Like I'm so grateful to be here. Like you're like my dream girl. And
summarize that part. They got to the airport. They seen each other. There was actually a 60-piece symphony out there. Yep, Beethoven was directing them. They had angels flying around, cherubs, if you will. Now, when that happened, everybody in the whole airport, they just cleared out. Everybody just disappeared, and it was just them two. The lights dimmed, the camera crew came out, and they ran towards each other. They was passionately kissing. Then they was in the rain. They was in the rain, girl. And like a Sex and the City scene, taxi cab comes on down. Because they was like, shh, how you do it? Shh. Taxi cab comes on down. They get in there. They making out like cats and dogs. You just in love with each other. They get to the hotel room. Next to the moon. Martin say, puts her through it a couple times. Now they sitting at dinner in her ass. She still got the glow now.
Or even better than I remembered if that was even possible. And it just felt like everything was aligning perfectly. And so the next day we had a car rental. So we went to Monaco, and that's where his work event was. And I remember he told me, he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to bring you to all of the events. And I told him, you know what? I'm gonna be in Monaco. So if you can't take me to things, that's fine. I'll just go explore the city. And I remember we get there and he had like a kickoff event, like first things first when we arrived. And so I wasn't invited. I also didn't really want to go. So he went to that, and I was just like exploring Monaco. And he sent me a message. He said, hey, you're gonna be able to come to the event tonight. Do you have something to wear? And I remember being like, I didn't bring anything like for like a professional cocktail party. He was like, oh, well, we're in Monaco. So you wear whatever. And I said, okay. So I remember I put on this green romper and we went to this hotel, and I remember being super nervous because I'm used to like networking, but not with like Norwegians and like a bunch of people that aren't like fluent in English, which actually people in Norway, they all are fluent in English. I was very impressed. But I just started talking to different agents because these were all real estate agents. And I told him, there's a few things you should know. Number one, your money is great, but it's the cherry on top of a great sundae. You know, while we're together, I want you to know, like, I want to give you the world. And I was like, thank you so much. Like, I feel so grateful. And I remember telling him that in that moment. And later on that night, we go to L'Opera and we're having a wonderful time, drinking great wine, having good food. And if you've been to L'Opera in Saint-Tropez, it's very much a party restaurant. Like, you have dancers on the tables. It's a party scene. But like, you know, that's also like kind of like my vibe. And I'm like, you know, have a little couple drinks in me. And we're sitting at dinner, and he's talking to me about his mom and talking about how he's so protective over her and how much he loves her and how he like would do anything for her. And I remember just like looking at him and just being like, this is like everything I want in a man. If a man is going to treat his family with respect, the chances of him treating your family with respect are so much higher. And I just felt like I saw his heart, and it just made me just fall for him even more than I had already. And I guess my thoughts had translated to my face because he picked up on some expression and he was like, what is it? And I was like, nothing. He said, tell me. I go, nothing. And then he grabs my face and he pulls it close to him. He goes, tell me. And I say, I'm in love with you. And then I started bawling my eyes out at L'Opera in Santa Fe. And this was a sweet moment, but it was also very uncomfortable and embarrassing because all the workers are all thinking that I'm getting dumped right now when I'm really just falling in love for the first time and like don't know how to control my emotions. And I remember just like bawling my eyes out, being like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what this feeling is. Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, and he's just sitting there smiling, and he's like, this is like one of the best nights of my life. And he looked at me and goes, I want to say it back to you, but I also want to have my own special moments. So I'm not gonna do it right now. And I said, thank you, God, because I would not want you to tell me right now. And honestly, never in a million years, I think that I would say I love you first to him, but he pulled it out.
Bitch, what?
I cannot say that back to you right now because I want to have my own moment.
I'm sorry, excuse me? What? Oh, what? I take it back. I don't love you. Honestly, I love this restaurant. I love this wine. Can I get 2 bottles on him? Yeah, anyway, let me tell you what else I love. I love the fact that I have my own home, and whenever I leave from here, I can go and enjoy a nice bubble bath. I can see my girls. I can go out to eat. Yes, I mean, it's nice being with you and everything. It's a good time, but yeah, I love that. Whenever we get to your moment, we're going to get to it. Who are we playing with? If I say I love you, I don't give a fuck if you don't love me. Say it back. Here, Say it back. And I'm also not going to be extremely tipsy. Like, I just want to let you know I love you. Ooh, I can't believe I even said that to you. Now when I really don't know you like that. And when she should have said it was when they were in the heat of the moment, when he was knocking air out her chest. That's when she should have said, I love you, because he could have been like, hey, do you really love me? She could have been like, hell no, I don't really love you. I was just saying that because what was going on?
And I felt it, so I said, you know what, I'm gonna say it, and I did, and it felt so good. And I remember we went back to the hotel that night, got some sleep, and the next morning we went to Bagatelle and we had just like a beach day. And I used to tell everyone that this was the best day of my life, because we spent the whole day just swimming and laughing and eating and having such a great time. And I just thought to myself, like, I could do this forever. And like, I also thought to myself, like, I don't care if we're on a couch in Dallas, Texas, like, I just want to be around him all the time. And so that night we go to dinner, and I remember just asking him, what are the things that you think are important as we like enter this relationship? And he told me, if you give me respect and loyalty, I will give you the world. And I told him I can do that. And then I told him, there's a few things you should know. Number one, your money is great, but it's the cherry on top of a great sundae. You could lose it all tomorrow and I would not go anywhere. Like, the money's just like, it's a lot of benefit. But I love you for you. I'm here for who you are as a person, not the money. Also, cheating is 100% deal breaker for me. I just feel like I always need to like put that out there. I don't care if you've been married for 15 years, before kids, I will leave. I will not.
You could be broke and I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to always love you. Hell, you could be damn near dead and I'm always be here for you. I will. But if you cheat, I'm leaving your ass. How that work? Because none of this makes sense. You want a broke man when you're a successful woman? I'm telling you, these build up relationships where you got more than the other person has or vice versa, they never work out. There ain't never a mutual respect level. Look at Todd and Candy. This motherfucker now all of a sudden want to be a stay-at-home dad, but his ass couldn't stay at home when Candy was working. If you really wanted to be a primary parent, Todd, you should have been at that house so you could have proved Mama Joyce is wrong. But she said it. She said this is a scheme that Todd set up. And what Todd thought was going to happen was he was going to scheme Candy out of her money. But what the devil means for evil, God means for good.
And then we decided to go shopping. And he tells me, you can pick out whatever you want to buy, you can get it. So we're going to like Cartier, we're going to Chanel, we go to Dior. I see this yellow bag, I fall in love with it. I felt so uncomfortable because I don't want this man to think that I'm with him for his money. And I didn't want him to feel like I was using him. So I remember just being like, oh, it's okay. Like, I love this purse. But I was like, it's just okay. And we ended up going to Dolce & Gabbana and I pick out this nice pair of $200 sunglasses. And he looks at me, he goes, dang, you're cheap. And I said, I'm a simple girl. Even though I wanted the Dior bag, but I wanted him to know I was there for the right reasons. Oh my gosh, bachelor trauma is still kicking in. And so later that night, we decided to go to dinner, and we're eating dinner, and I go to the bathroom, and you can pick out whatever you want to buy, you can get it. So we're going to like Cartier, we're going to Chanel, we go to Dior. I see this yellow bag, I fall in love with it. I felt so uncomfortable because I don't want this man to think that I'm with him for his money. And I didn't want him to feel like I was using him. So I remember just being like, oh, it's okay. Like, I love this purse. But I was like, it's just okay. And we ended up going to Dolce & Gabbana and I pick out this nice pair of $200 sunglasses. And he looks at me, he goes, dang, you're cheap. And I said, I'm a simple girl. Even though I wanted the Dior bag, but I wanted him to know I was there for the right reasons. Oh my gosh, bachelor trauma is still kicking in.
When she said that, all I could see in my head is this meme like, I'm a simple girl. I don't even want a lot of things. Like, I want love. I want romance. I want, but dude, I'm just a simple girl. Hey, man.
Going to the bathroom, going up the stairs, and everything went black. And I will continue on the series. And let me tell you, I am a clumsy person. I know I'm a clumsy person. I'm always tripping over myself. And that day specifically, I have been tripping over my dress pretty frequently throughout the day. But I've never had like a serious accident before like this. And it was completely out of the blue. I was walking up the stairs, and I remember walking up the stairs. And the stairs in France are extremely narrow. If you've been, then you definitely probably agree with me. And so I basically came to after falling, hitting my head, and I see these three men above me, and they're wearing like these bright turquoise polos. And I remember that they were the waiters. That was what they were wearing. And I remember just like coming awake and being like, what the fuck is happening? But no one was speaking any English. They're all like screaming in French, freaking out. And so I pass out again, and I come to again. And finally I'm able to say, someone go get my boyfriend. And then I pass out again, and I come to again, and then my ex is sitting next to me, and I see him, and I'm like, what is going on? He's like, I don't know what happened. I think you fell. And I'm like, I don't remember anything. I don't know what happened. And he looked at me. He goes, do you have a history with epilepsy? I'm like, epilepsy? No, I don't have any history with that. I was like, why? He said, because you've been having seizures the past 10 minutes. And I was like, seizures? I have never ever had a seizure in my life. So this.
Have you ever been drugged? Have you ever took drugs? Have you ever had a little too much to drink? Have you ever drank something your body had a bad reaction to? So you got to start thinking, girl, everybody around you ain't your friends. Everybody around you ain't there to help your ass, okay? Them boys was probably looking down at you like, what y'all think we can get for? Huh? She got her passport? Yeah, Tony, because that's Martin's name on the street. Tony said that he got her passport. He got a picture of her right now. Said he also got a picture of her bank statements, all kind of shit. If we can get at least 200 off her. Said, But then she started coming to, and they had to be like, oh, shit, goddamn. My friend. Oh, who go get? She said, my boyfriend. They said, whoop, Tony. Her ass woke up. You didn't even put enough. You didn't put enough.
Shocking news, but I also wasn't like all the way there. So I was just so confused at what was happening. I remember touching my head, and I looked at my hand, and there was so much blood. And then I like started looking around, and everything felt wet. And I was like,
911.
So I look at him, and I was like, he's like, no, they just like dumped water on me. And I was like, okay. And so they basically told us that because the streets in Canada are so narrow, they couldn't bring an ambulance. It had to be a fire truck, which I didn't care. I just wanted to get to the hospital. So these firemen come and they get me up, and I stand up, I look down, look at the
girl. So you fell down the stairs going to the bathroom and woke up in an alleyway?
Motherfucker, run!
puddle of water. Then I smell my dress. I go, oh my gosh, this is urine. So you're telling me that I've been dating this man for 3 days and he is now sitting in a pool of my urine and my blood watching me have seizures. I was just I couldn't believe that this was the reality of what was happening. I get into the truck and they take us to the hospital and I'm still freaking out at this point because I literally don't know if I have like a severe brain bleed or what's going on. And they take us into the waiting room and they're about to take us back. And I remember the nurse said that my ex couldn't go back with me because they still had super strict restrictions from COVID. So he had to wait in the waiting room. And I remember just freaking out because no one is speaking English at this point. And I don't know what to do. I'm so terrified. I feel so alone. And I remember just looking at him and he could just see the fear in my eyes. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. He's like, just stay calm. I was like, okay. And he ends up leaning into me before they tell him that it's time to go. And he tells me, before you go, I just wanted to tell you that I love you. And I just remember being like, really? Here of all places? He was like, yeah, I wouldn't tell you. And I said, I mean, I was so grateful to hear it from him, but also I was like, are you only telling
Now, hold up.
just because you think I'm about to die? And so a lot of things were going through my head. And I ended up going back, getting a CT scan.
What'd he say?
Hey, everything's good. You just have a severe
What'd he
condition.
say?
I had seizures. And they're like, you're gonna have to get 4 stitches in your eyebrow. You guys can kind of see the scar.
What did he say when you asked him that? When you said, are you just saying I love you because you pushed me down the steps, put me in an alleyway and tried to sell my organs? What did he say after that? That's just like a man cheating on you and being like, oh, fuck it. I was going to wait until Christmas. But will you marry me now? No, no, I will not marry you.
So after I get my stitches, I go back out to the waiting room and I see my ex and I automatically just feel this sense of protection and safety because he made me feel so calm and I was just so grateful to him. And if you watched the Who the Fuck Did I Marry series, I truly believe that this whole experience was the equivalent to Risa Tissa's tire blowout before she met her ex-husband. And God was telling me to run far away from this man. My bad on misinterpreting this message. And I just thought that this was God's way of telling me that this man's gonna keep me safe. And clearly that wasn't the case. But we leave the hospital and
God said.
prescriptions and airport, and it was a really, really tough goodbye because I was just so sad to say goodbye to him. And he had already booked a flight to come visit me in Dallas in 10 days. He booked it before I even went to Monaco because he told me he was so sure of me and of us. And so I knew I was going to see him in a little bit over a week, but it just wasn't enough. And I just wanted to be with him 24/7.
Okay, she has attachment issues. She was like, when I was getting ready to leave, I was like, it's so to say goodbye to yesterday.
Single day because we're in a relationship, and he calls me and he says, hey, I'm considering offering on this apartment complex in Copenhagen. And we had talked about his real estate investments back in the south of France. He told me that he owned 3 apartments in Copenhagen, 2 of which were rented out, one of which he was occupying as his personal residence. And this apartment complex he was interested in had 34 units, and then there was a top floor that was unfinished and it could be converted to 10 penthouses. And he said it's fully rented out. It would be such a great investment. The cash flow is great. The only thing is that it's going to take up a lot of my cash liquidity and also like stocks and crypto and everything. And obviously I'm going to be traveling to the States and I want to be mindful of like finances. That's why I like want to bring it up to you. So what do you think? And I said, well, at this point we've been dating for like a couple weeks, so I didn't feel like I was in a place where I could insert my opinion. So I told him like, whatever you think, I'll support you. And I also didn't know jack shit about real estate investments in Copenhagen. And also I had just gone to the south of France with him. That whole entire trip I had spent 15 euros the entire trip. I tried to pay for stuff he would not take a dime from me. So at this point I like almost am like searching for a way to prove to him that I'm not with him for his money. So I told him, I go, if I need to take on some more like the financial responsibilities in this relationship, I'm more than happy to do so because this is a partnership and you're there for me when I need you and I'm gonna be there for you when you need me. And he said, I appreciate you saying that, but I don't think it's gonna come to that, but thank you for saying that. I said, of course. So
In a dating relationship, you starting to offer that type of
he offers on it and his offer wins apparently by like 1,000 euros.
And also, let me say this. For her to have parents, I'm surprised that she felt like she had to prove herself to a man unless she feels like that man is out of her league. Never be a PowerPoint presentation for a motherfucker to say, this is why you should pick me. Hell no. You be exactly who you are. And the person who's for you is going to be with you, even with your flaws. There's going to be people out here who are going to say, oh, I don't want to deal with you because you got a big mouth or you got a house or you got this or you got that wrong with you. Then you're going to come across a motherfucker who's like, why are you yelling at me? Yell again, girl, see what happens. You're going to be like, okay, I was a little mad, but now I'm like, someone who will work with you on your temper problem or your attitude issue, and they won't make you feel bad for it because you're also working on your thing and you're trying to be a better person. You're trying to be a good person. So why would I then get with somebody who I have to prove myself to as if I'm not already trying to prove myself to myself? I don't want to get with somebody who's going to now critique me or who I can't even be myself with because I done set them up to believe, oh, I'm this woman that doesn't have any of these issues. I don't get mad. I don't yell. I'm so supportive. I won't ask questions. And in reality, once it get down to it, once our money start getting funny, because that's what happens. Once their money start getting weird and she start getting broke and she start getting irritated, all this little nice sweet shit out the window. All of a sudden, there's a goddamn hyena on his ass. So if I were her, I wouldn't be trying to do nothing to prove myself to him. And I also wouldn't be thinking to myself, he needs to provide that to me. I want him to act how he would act normally, naturally. Don't be coming in here love bombing me when you know you're not going to really be on me like that in the future. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why ain't he calling me on my lunch break? This is usually our routine schedule. Now he ain't calling. You call him and he like, oh, I didn't think I had to call you again. Oh, just because we've been dating for 3 months? Because you wasn't like that in the first place. So be who you are. Don't never be a checklist for a motherfucker. Sure, you can have standards, requirements, things of that nature, but don't be like, look, see, good woman.
And he decides he's going to move forward with this property maybe a couple days before he came to visit me in Dallas. And I was fully supportive of him buying this property 100% because he's a successful businessman. And if he thinks this is a smart move, then I trust him. And also the money was a whole separate other thing. I didn't care. All I cared about was being with him. So he's coming to Dallas.
And that's the damn problem too, girl. Why is that the only thing you care about? You want to prove yourself to him using money.
And I'm getting excited, not just because he's coming to see me, but this is a trip where he's going to start to meet my people and it's getting real. And so I remember he was flying into Dallas in the middle of September and I made this sign that said, "Welcome to Dallas, my Danish man." And I'm waiting outside baggage. We did a lot of things that trip. So we went to a Cowboys game, we went to a retirement party for a partner at my accounting firm, we went to a couple dinners, and then we also just stayed at home. I cooked a lot. I remember I made him red stew and rice, which is my favorite Nigerian food. It's a staple. And I put a lot of habanero peppers. I remember being nervous, like, can he handle spice? And he ate it and he loved it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this white boy loves spice. This is perfect. And everything just felt like, again, it felt like everything was aligning. And so I wanted to plan something special for him to meet all of my close friends and family. And so I was like, oh, maybe we can go meet for a drink. And he said, like, we can go out to eat. I'll pay for everything. I was like, are you sure? He said, absolutely. So I planned a brunch and we went to brunch here in Dallas. And it was a handful of my really close friends and my two sisters were there. And my cousin so depressed or live in Dallas. And I still can't believe this came out of my mouth, but I told him, I said, listen, I know you already have like a very much established career. And so if you want me to move to Denmark, I'm more than happy to have that conversation with you and like discuss it. And he said, looking at you with your friends and your family this past week has made me realize that I don't want to take that away from you. And you're really close with your parents. They're driving distance away. And like I live in Copenhagen. My family lives in my hometown in Aalborg, which is hours away. I don't have family in Copenhagen and I want us to be around family, especially like if we're talking about having kids one day. Like I want that support and I want you to be around people that you love. And so I was so happy because realistically I did not want to move to Denmark. And so I was so happy that this man is willing to give up everything to be with me. So I was so excited about that. So he was gone for about 3 weeks to a month at this point, and he hadn't booked his flight back to Dallas yet. And then he booked it on like a Thursday, I remember. So now we're in the middle of October 2022. He booked his flight and he said, okay, I'm coming next week, Wednesday. And I said, okay, perfect. And I'm getting all excited again. And so I called him Friday morning, and keep in mind that there's a time difference. So it's like about 7 hours. So whenever I wake up at like 5 or 6, he's basically halfway through his day. And so I called him that Friday and I said, hey, like how's your day been? He's like, it's been such a stressful, intense day. I go, what happened? He's like, I found out that the apartment complex that I bought is dealing with some major foundation issues. Like it could affect safety of the tenants and I'm really stressing out and I need to get it fixed. And I was like, oh, okay, like did you schedule repair? He's like, not yet. It's going to cost like a hefty chunk of change. Like how much it's going to cost? He's like $50,000. Like $50,000. What? Like it's obviously a lot of money. I'm sure it's a lot of money to a lot of you. It's a lot of money to me. And so I was like, okay, like what's the plan? He's like, I'm going to have a good portion of it. So I just need to ask my dad for a little bit of a loan. And so I remember being like, I can never in a million years ask my dad for a loan of $50,000. So at this point, I was aware of the fact that like they had this royal title, they had this family trust that like, and like the family had money. I didn't really know like how much or the details behind it. But he told me he was going to call his dad and ask him for a loan. So call that phone. He will not loan me the money. He says I've been acting super irresponsible, traveling, doing all these things. And so he just doesn't want to, he thinks I need to like learn from my actions. And if I'm not prepared for something like this, then there's nothing he can do to help me. And so I felt really bad for him because he essentially felt like his dad was abandoning him by, and he's communicating that he's still stressed out about coming up with his money. And so I said, you know what, like I can loan you the money. And so at this point I had paid off my student loans, paid off my car, bought a house. Like had a decent savings. I was in a really, really good financial position. And so I wanted to help him, especially because like this man has like treated me so well and done so much for me. And I truly felt like we were in a partnership, especially like when you're talking about the future with someone. And so he told him like, let me loan it to you. He goes, I would never in a million years borrow money for you. And I was like, it's okay. Like I don't mind helping. He's like, that's like not even a discussion I want to have. I said, okay, fine. So a couple days says, okay, like now I need 6K. And I was like, okay, again, let me give it to you. He's like, no, I still don't want to take money from you. And then basically like 2 days before he's supposed to come to Dallas, he tells me, he says, just letting you know, I'm not able to come to Dallas because I need to figure out this issue. And I'm at this point start freaking out. So I'm like, no, like I 100% like want you to come still. Just let me loan you the money so that you'll be fine and we can, be happy and be together. And so after some thinking, he's like, okay, fine, I will borrow the money from you. But you have to promise me that this will be the only time and that you're 100% comfortable giving me this money. And I said, absolutely, I'm 100% comfortable. And we will.
He flipped the script on her ass. He said, I would be on my way down there. But damn, apartment complex getting ready to blow up. They said the hospital I bought as well as the casino I bought is getting ready to go out of business. I don't know why. Got to find money somewhere. Shit, I don't know where it might be at. Wish I could borrow it from some. No. I ain't borrowing it from you. All right, I will borrow it from you just this one time. Don't you let me keep no more money of yours, okay? Don't you give me any more of your money. She said, okay. He was a man who was not after my money either.
We went to African market with my parents. It was just me, my ex, and my parents. And he's talking to my parents about the Olympics, and they're asking him all these questions. And he was like, yeah, like the gold medal I gave to my mom, she has it. And the bronze medal, she donated it to charity. And I'm just like, this guy is just so freaking amazing. And so we had an amazing Thanksgiving. It was his first Thanksgiving in the state. And my grandmother had recently just passed away. And this is my dad's mom. It was really, really sad. And he was talking to us about the plans for the burial. And so he said, we're going to do the burial in May. It's going to be in the village in Nigeria. And he'll spend Christmas in Boston with my family. And I said, okay, like we can do that. And so I brought up the option to my ex. He said, I think that's a great idea. Obviously, don't want you to spend Christmas by yourself. And so I said, okay, that works. And I'm obviously extremely sad because at this point I hadn't seen him in weeks. And now I don't know when I'm going to see him again because he's getting the surgery on December 21st. So I make plans, book my flight to New York. And a couple days before I leave, he told me, maybe what we can do.
To catch y'all up from what I skipped over, her and her ex are going to end up going to her grandmother's funeral. However, in the time being, something happened with his father back home, so he had to go back home. Now she's telling us what's going on.
Is you can come to Denmark maybe a couple days after my back surgery because the doctors say that I need to be up walking a couple days afterwards. And I think it's just my mom that's going to come. So what we can do is you can meet
him. I thought it was his daddy. It's his ass who now has back pains.
And we can go see like the Christmas lights. And at that point, I'll be able to translate and everything. And so I said, that's fine. So I was like, I'll fly to New York, go to Boston, spend Christmas with my friend Natalie. And then I'll also have like an extra bag packed for like things to wear in Copenhagen and just make sure I'm prepared to figure out what the plan is whenever he tells me. And so I think we had decided that it was December like 26th or 27th that I was going to go to Copenhagen and then spend like a week there. So I go to New York, have a great couple days with my friend Natalie. And then on like the second day I'm in New York, I get a message from him. And he said, oh my goodness, my dad's back in the hospital. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to hear that. He's like, his infection numbers are bad again, his blood poisoning again. And he ended up getting diagnosed with leukemia. And I just, I wanted to be there for him. And I said, like, you want me to come? Like, I want to be there for you. Like, I don't want you to feel like you have to navigate through these things without having like your partner there to support you. And he said, right now, I just need to like focus on my family, and I'm grateful for you to be here, but I also don't want you to be my dad for the first in the hospital bed. And I'm obviously frustrated because I really want to be there for him, but I also don't want to be too pushy because I'm like, this is your family, your dad's in the hospital. I don't want to put too much on him. And so we made the decision that I was just going to be so angry. I just got into it by my sister, and maybe like 5 minutes later he gives me a call, and I'm like, what happened? he said, we're sitting in the hospital room and my dad is obviously laying in the bed and my older sister looks to me and says, so where are you spending Christmas? And I said, not with you, bitch. And they turn into a huge fight. They start screaming at each other in the hospital. He storms out. He feels so disrespected. His mom's upset. His little sister's upset because, like, you know, they're already spending some of their holidays in the hospital and like now like they have all this tension in the family. And so I remember just being like so confused as to like why his sister is like this awful person. Like, why is she treating you like this, especially at a time when your dad is not doing okay? And so he calls me. He's like, I'm just so upset. Like, I want to get away. And I said, well, let me know what you need from me. Like, I'm literally up right away. And he said, well, I obviously like now that I'm like not don't be around my family, I would love to see you. And I said, okay, well, I can book a flight to Copenhagen and come stay with you. And he said, I don't know, I just kind of feel like I just need to get out of Denmark. And at that point, he was obviously in his hometown in Aalborg, which is 4 hours north of Copenhagen. And so he took a train back to Copenhagen. He's spending Christmas completely by himself, so sad. And we're still trying to iron out what the plans are. And he again tells me I want to leave Denmark. I was like, are you sure? Because at this point, like I knew that I wouldn't say we were having like financial issues, but I knew like obviously there was like a little bit of tension with like all of his expenses that were adding up. And so I was like, you know, it might be easier for me to just fly there and I can just stay with you. And he's like, I just really want to get away. And I said, okay, where do you want to go? He said, have you been to Paris before? And I said, no, I actually have not been to Paris. And he's like, well, let's do Paris. And I said, okay, I'm absolutely down to do Paris. And so I look at flights. I book a flight from Boston to Paris, layover in Iceland, and I leave on the 26th and I get to Paris on the 27th. And I see him. He meets me at the airport. We arranged our flights to make sure we landed around the same time. I get a transfer from his business account to his personal account. And obviously in the States, when you make a transfer like that, it's just like a click of a button. Like I have a business account, it's a click of a button. But he told me that in Denmark, when you make a transfer from your business account to your personal account, it actually has to go through the IRS. They take out the taxes and then they deposit the money into your personal account. And I'm over here thinking like that's so crazy. But I also know like Denmark is a foreign country that I don't know anything about. I didn't question it for a second. And so he said, I'm just gonna ask my mom to give me a quick little loan so I can obviously cover everything with Paris and whatnot. And I said, okay, just let me know what she says.
We ain't going there. No, we ain't
you
going.
won't give me money if I spend a couple more days with the family. I said, well, you should do that. Like, I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to take you.
Going now, if you want to go ahead and borrow money from your mama to take your ass over to Paris because you done got into an argument with your sister who you do not live with, who don't even want to be around your ass, your mind is just so you just have to get out so bad. You go ahead, take that flight. I don't feel comfortable with spending your mother's money. I'm sorry. I know it's a loan for you and you like it's in my account, it's in my name. We don't got to worry about that. No, we're not doing it. However, you know, she makes excuses in her mind for why, again, they can go ahead, take another flight, take another trip, stay in some more hotels, spend some more money, and she gonna kick in on it because she's the one who's going to support him, hold him down, and prove to him that even though nobody in his family fucking with him, she gonna be the one who gonna be there through thick and thin.
By the end of January, and everything seemed like it was going smooth. And then one day he calls me and he tells me that he's had the worst day ever. And I'm like, oh, now what? He's ranted. He's like, there's a fire in the control room, the electrical control room at the apartment complex that he bought. And he's just like, I don't know what to do. He's like, there's no power. Like no one has power. He's like, I just paid this guy $2,000 to bring generators to power up the whole entire apartment. I have an electrician coming, and he's like freaking out. And he basically used all his money he had to put towards like the generators and paying the electrician for as much work as they could do. And I was like, okay, like what now? And he's like, I need help. At this point, he has now asked me for help. He's like, can you send me $5,000? And I said, yeah, of course, I can help you. And love is a powerful drug. I hate myself. I hate this. I hate that I was so willing to help him, and it is what it is. But I send him the $5,000. He tells me that his insurance is going to cover it. He will pay me back. And also, like, I'm mindful of the fact that his house is supposed to close at the end of the month. And so a week go by and we start talking about plans for the wedding. And so at first we wanted to go to Vegas, and then we looked into it, and Denmark does not recognize wedding marriages that are done in Vegas because you can get the marriage certificate and get married in the same day. Same thing with Colorado. Shout out to Denmark. I love that rule. But we're like, it's fine. We should just save money. Let's just do it in Dallas, and then we can go do a little weekend trip to Broken Bow, Oklahoma, which is like this cute lake town, and that can be our honeymoon. And he was like, okay, that works fine. We can do that. At this point, he has his flight booked to come back to Dallas in the end of January. Now we're in 2023, and he tells me that one of his really close friends that owns a plumbing business, and my ex was actually godfather of this man's son. This is confirmed. And he came to him and said that his partner in his business is like doing some like shady stuff. He's like scared that he's gonna get like implicated. He wants my ex to buy out his partner, and he's asking him for a loan of $250,000. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money. And this time he asked me, and you know, we're about to get married, so now I feel like I can insert my opinion about the situation. So I asked him, like, is this just a handout or is this gonna be a good investment? And he was like, well, I think it's gonna be a really good investment. Like, he has a bunch of ideas of how to expand the business. And to me, I was like, well, if you can help a friend and have a good investment, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I, as you guys,
No, that's it. No, that's the sentence. My friend is thinking that I could just kick him a little 250,000. You know, he said the partner that he did have fell through. I said, hey, don't even worry about it, bro. Me and my girl, she got it. She got it. I can get it out of her account. Send a little something to me. I send you at least 175,000. Now you really ain't got to come up with that much. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah. So anyway, baby, that's what I went ahead and tell him that we was gonna do. It's not happening. Your ass still owe me money right now. You owe your mama money right now. You owe your sisters good relationships. You owe yourself to get yourself together financially. You need to take care of that apartment before you think to yourself, you about to spend another damn dime. The answer is no. Now, that might have made her mad. Knowing Martin, he might have hauled off and popped her ass. But I'm just saying, you got to say no sometimes. You're not about to keep on putting us in debt. And I also believe that in a relationship, in a marriage, in a partnership, whatever, both people need to be leaders. Both people need to know how to do things, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be a power struggle. There will be areas where your girl leads better than you. There will be areas where your man leads better than you. And then there will be areas where you guys make decisions together.
Already taught I'm a very giving person. I've been very giving my entire life. My parents are very generous and selfless. And so when it comes to helping friends and family in need, I've always done it. If I can do it, I'll always do it. And so to me, I'm like, we have this.
I have such a big heart, and my heart is so big that I have to give to people because, I mean, I just am a giver. It's hard.
10, and I remember the night before our wedding, he got really, really bad food poisoning, which I feel like should have been another sign that this was 100% the wrong decision to make. But instead I was like, hey, it's sickness and health. Like, whatever happens, we're gonna make it through. And at this point, he doesn't really have any money. I remember he looked at me, he goes, I'm sick, I'm broke. You wanna marry me still? I said, I don't care if you're sick, I love you for you. And we're getting married, and I'm so excited and ready for it. So the morning
Mind you, the way that they got engaged or the way that he proposed to her was because some other shit had happened. His finances was low, and she was like, I don't care what happens. I will always love you. And he was like, the way I'm feeling right now, shit, you be having my back through anything. Shoot. I say I get an apartment complex. You say, oh, okay, I support it. I tell you I'm about to buy a Ford dealership. You say, oh, okay, I can see it. I tell you I'm getting ready to take over China. You say, okay, I'll be your right hand. I want to marry you. Yeah, I think I want to marry your slow ass. And she said, you want to marry me? He said, I ain't got no ring, but I got my brain and my heart that say, I want to be with you, just you. She said, oh my gosh, me too. I only got my brain and my heart. I want to be with you too. I don't need no ring. Boom, they engaged.
Our wedding, obviously he couldn't afford a ring at that point. And so I remember he got on one knee. I woke up that morning and he's down on one knee next to the bed. And he was like, I know this isn't the proposal you dreamed of. And I promise you, I'm going to propose to you one day with a real ring. And we're going to share this with the world. But
I told y'all, that's exactly how it happened.
I want to ask you, will you marry me? And I said, absolutely, I'll marry you. And so we went to the courthouse. I remember I was wearing a dress for Fashion Nova because I didn't care. I was just excited to marry my person.
Ain't nothing wrong with Fashion Nova. Okay, whenever I go down to the thrift store, they be having a whole rack of Fashion Nova and Shein. $7.99, $8.99. Highest I'll spend is $11.99, but ain't nothing wrong with it.
We got married, and I mean, I truly thought this was one of the best days of my life. I was so happy. I was grinning so big. I still have the pictures and the videos from this day, and we went to Broken Bow afterwards, and we just had a great weekend in a little cabin in the woods, and it's just this cute lake town, so it's perfect. And we brought Smokey. I remember we got burgers, I made lasagna, we just stayed in and hiked, and it was a really, really wonderful honeymoon. After the wedding, he stayed in Dallas for about a week, and then he goes back to Denmark, and he had said that the house had closed.
What is this? What is this? What do I talk like this too? Maybe I should start talking like that. And so it was just like a really amazing time that we had together.
Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay in Denmark. Again, I have no idea how this stuff works. And so while he's in Denmark, he says funds came through. He transferred the money to his friend for the investment in the plumbing business. And he said that he was about to set the transfer for me or the money he owed me, which was about $10,000 at that point. And so a couple weeks go by, I still haven't received the money. I'm not super pressed about it because I still am like really trusting him at this point.
So he sent the $250 to his friend, still ain't sending her the $5K back. That's why I would have said no.
And he ends up booking his flight to come back to visit in March. And this trip was a trip that my dad and my mom were coming back to Dallas to come visit. And he already planned to ask my dad for my hand in marriage. And so he's about to come visit. And he calls me maybe like
backwards
to Dallas. And he said, I received the worst possible news today. The Danish news that he possibly had. The IRS has told him that he owes $318,000 in taxes. In addition to that, his dad owes $12 million in taxes. And at this point, I did not have a lot of information about his family money because I've always been the type of person like, if your parents have money, that means your parents have money. That does not mean you have money. So I didn't even ask him details about his parents' finances. But obviously, I'm like, his parents owe $12 million in taxes. They got money. And he said that the person that was doing his taxes for years and years and also doing his dad's taxes was one of his childhood friends that owns an accounting firm. And he's like, we've been paying a lot of money in taxes over the years. So someone must be completing or committing some sort of fraud at this point. And so I'm obviously freaking out. This is a lot of money that he owes. So he said, you know what?
He think they the Murdochs. That's what we think. Y'all see it? The Murdochs, you know, that is a crazy story. If you know, you know. He think they can just sit up here and play with the imaginary money that they ain't got. He said, I owe 300,000. My daddy owe 100 million. Oh shit, I don't even know how we gonna do it. He's trying to check your temperature. He's trying to see how much you got, how much you willing to risk.
I'm going to use the rest of the proceeds from selling my home. And in addition to that, he told me at this point he owns 3 different watches. He owns 2 Rolexes and a Patek watch, which if you're not a watch person, these are very expensive watches. And so a couple hours go by, he's like, I sold my Patek watch, and like he said he sold it at a loss. He just needed to get the money. He said he's short about 30K. And so he tells me that he's going to reach out to his parents, and his parents are like, we don't care. Like, this is not our problem.
If a man tell me he getting ready to sell his watch because he's short, I'm gonna be like, you ain't got no capital, do you? You ain't got no assets, do you? You gonna sell your watches? So where do you invest your money whenever you make it? It just goes straight into your account. And you, this man that come from a royal bloodline, ain't y'all supposed to have all these type of accountants and help and people around y'all to help you invest your money so you keep on making it over and over again to create a royal legacy in a generation that has a whole bunch of money every time? Am I tripping? Something ain't adding up here. She ain't asking enough questions for me.
And he starts to just like, continue spiraling. And so he tells me he's going to reach out to 2 of his childhood friends, one of which he was with his friend whenever we met in Croatia. So I knew they'd been friends for a while. And then another childhood friend. And I've never asked friends for money before. So this is like not anything that I'm comfortable with. But I was like, hey, if you feel comfortable doing this, go for it. I had not offered him a cent. So he comes back, says he's going to get 10,000 from one friend and then 5,000 from another friend. And I have to pay my taxes too because I was working at an accounting firm. Obviously that's a W-2 income, but I was also doing real estate. I did very well the year before. So I owed every penny in taxes. And it's March of 2023. So my taxes are coming up pretty soon. And so I told him like, I'm not comfortable giving this money because, like I have to pay taxes too. And now my savings is like really starting to I'm starting to feel like financial impact, and it's starting to stress me out. And he said, I hired a law firm. They've already looked into my tax record. They've already found indicators of fraud. I think I'm going to be able to get this turned around really quickly. And my biggest worry and concern is that if I don't pay this tax bill, it's going to affect my chances of getting a green card. And that's when I start to panic. And now I realized I was just in a very toxic cycle of emotional manipulation. But after some time, he talked me into loaning him the $15,000. And I remember I only could send him like 3K at a time. And so I remember it was like over like the course of 5 days. Like every day he'd be like, hey, don't forget to send the payment. And everything about this felt so wrong in my soul, but I did it anyways. And this was not something that I had lied about. Like I told my parents, I told my siblings, like my ex got this crazy tax bill, and they were all aware that we were going through this like financial hiccup. And I didn't like want to be presented as these people with money. So I was very upfront and honest about it. And like you can ask a lot of my friends, like I told a lot of my close people about this situation. And quick side note, I did not tell them that I was loaning him money. I just told them that he owed a lot of money, and I told them about the
Yeah, we knew your ass didn't say that. I wish I would call my mom or my dad or one of my sisters and be like, yeah, this motherfucker just asked me for $1,500, just getting on my nerves. I said, I'm not gonna give you no money. I'm not gonna loan you no money. Don't ask me. So then after a couple of days, I said, I'm just loaning to him. Cause why does it keep on asking me? He'd be all right after this. The way they would lay into me, I still hear about how I had a hood apartment, which don't get me wrong, they from the hood. How I had a hood apartment when I had bad credit, even though I done changed my life around. They would be going off on
Wait, no one knows I have given him any. So I end up giving him the money. He's so grateful. He's like, thank you so much for helping me out. And so about like 5 days later, flies to Dallas to come and visit. And my parents came to visit maybe a couple days after he came. And at this point, he's staying in the living room, not in the bed with me, but he could not go to a hotel because we're like trying to be mindful with spending. So my parents definitely started to bond with my ex a lot more over this trip. Like I remember my dad brought him this Nigerian Ebo cane that my ex had been admiring. That my dad had one. He's and my dad said yes. And my dad also broke cola nut in front of the family and like welcomed my ex into the family. It's just, I mean, it was really special. Obviously, we were dealing with a lot of financial stress, but I want you all to know that like I was happy a majority of the time, regardless of the stress I was going through, which is just insane to understand. But after a week, we ended up going to Cabo for one of my childhood friends' wedding, and I had paid for the portion of the wedding already because I had been planning on going by myself. And then obviously I got into relationships. I just had to pay like a little extra to add someone to the reservation. But we decided to go a couple days early, and
I just had to pay a little extra after she done loaned him $15,000. But I guess even if she did, or even if he did pay for anything on the trip, she just getting her money back.
Celebrate like our honeymoon. And so we basically, our flight comes and he's staying in the living room. My parents are sleeping in the guest bedroom. And I wake up and I get a text from him and he says, hey, can you come downstairs real quick? And I said, of course. So I go downstairs and what's up? He said, one of my friends, the friend that he had received from for the tax bill, reached out to me and said he's freaking out because his wife really wants to buy his house and he's short a certain amount of money to purchase this home. And obviously he was like, I feel so bad because he loaned it to me because he was trying to help me out. And my biggest strength and weakness is empathy. And when I saw him hurting because his friend was not able to do something because of the money he had loaned my ex, and at this point I felt like the friend had loaned us the money. It wasn't like he loaned my ex the money because we were married. And so I do something so stupid and idiotic. I end up loaning him an additional 3K not even a week after I'd already given him 15 days. So I actually ended up giving him $18,000 in the month of March of 2023. Yes, I'm saying so I send him the money. We end up going to the airport, fly to Cabo. We have an amazing trip. And at this point I had just hard launched him on my Instagram Valentine's Day prior. So at this point I hard launched him after we were already married. And
what kind of friends he got to where they can't provide for their wives? Maybe they living above their means and you don't need to be helping them out. Keep on trying to get loans. Just let them keep on doing it so that they can learn their damn lesson. Hello, I used to be a payday loan queen.
And we're in Cabo and I'm like posting more photos of him on my social media. And I'm going through my Instagram story views and I'm looking at the names. I'm seeing all of these Danish names. I can tell they're Danish names because there's a different Danish alphabet. And so I'm clicking some of the profiles and a lot of them you can see like my ex is like the mutual like follows them. And so I brought it up to him like, hey, all these Danish, I see his dog and it's like a toller retriever, that tolling retriever, I think that's how you say it. I saw his dog as a puppy on this girl's profile and I clicked a tag and my ex's tag. And so I look and I go, is this your ex-girlfriend? He was like, oh yeah, it is. I was like, oh, so she's watching my stories. He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, that's a little weird. And I remember checking like throughout the course of like every day for like a week, and like, all these Danish people are still watching my story every day. And I'm like, don't you think this is weird that there's like 15 Danish people watching my story every day? And he's like, honestly, I just feel like they're a little bit salty that I like moved on. I'm moving to America. Like I think they might be a little salty. And he said, you should just block them all. Like I'm not gonna lie, this is like a very toxic group of people. And so I was like, is that what you want me to do? He said, yeah, just block them all. Like they're the following day, we start going and having these like day trips all over Denmark and going to explore. And it's always me, my ex, and his parents. And one day we went to this area called Skagen, which is the most northern part of Denmark. And it's really beautiful. And it was just fun to go and explore. And we're driving home and my ex starts yelling at his dad. His dad is yelling back. They just start going at it. Obviously they're speaking Danish. I have no clue what they're saying. My ex pulls over. He gets out of the car, storms out, starts like walking away. I get out of the car. I chase after him. I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? And he was like, my dad basically just said that he's over today. He just wants to go back and watch his game. And I was like, and he basically said he was really upset because he felt like his dad wasn't making an effort to get to know me. And that's when I realized that him and his dad had a really, really toxic relationship. And I also noticed that like, they basically exchanged like 1 to 2 sentences a day. I also noticed that he wasn't as close with his sister, his little sister, because I mean, they would talk all the time. So I thought that was a little strange too. But I don't know, you know, I'm still trying to really understand this family dynamic. But what I do know is that he's a mom's boy, he's close with his mom, which, you know, that was really, really important to me. There were a few things that I took away from this trip. The first being that he is a little bit embarrassed of his family's home. He kept saying, do you want to go stay in a hotel or Airbnb? Do we want to stay here? And I'm like, why would we not stay here? Like if I went to go visit my parents and I wanted to stay in Airbnb, they'd be devastated. I was like, of course we're staying here. And he was like, I know it's not nice, it's a house, you haven't renovated it. Like I don't understand how all this money, like why don't they do it? I'm like, it's fine, like don't worry, we'll be okay. Another thing I noticed was that I did not meet the older sister. No one spoke of her, and I knew at this point she had 1 kid at this point. So they talked about her a little bit, but it was kind of like the elephant in the room. Like no one really talked about it. And, you know, I know to get it sold within 24 hours, obviously that might be kind of difficult. And so at this point he's like, how much money do you have? And I was like, I really don't have a whole lot of money to give you. So I remember I gave him like a small amount, maybe like 3,000, because I wanted to make sure I had enough money for like bills and miscellaneous. I just wanted to have a little bit of cushion. And I was getting stressed out, but he ended up coming up with the money. He says the deal goes through and that it's going to close in 6 weeks. And so he tells me what I think I'm going to do is switch my address from Denmark to the States, especially since I have been living in the States more, and I'll be able to save money on taxes. And at this point I was like, is this tax evasion? He goes, this is absolutely not tax evasion.
Absolutely is.
Spending more time in Dallas than I am in Denmark. And I said, okay, well, if you've done research and you feel certain about this, then I believe you. So the deal goes through. It says it's going to close in 6 weeks. And so he said we should take a trip to celebrate. And I'm like, we don't have any money. And he was like, well, we can just use your credit cards because, you know, like we'll be able to pay it off whenever the money hits. And this is probably one of the most like idiotic decisions I made. Y'all have to tell me this is stupid. I'm fully aware. But we ended up going to Portugal for a week and we used my credit cards the majority of this trip. He had a little bit of money because keep in mind he is working as chief commercial officer for this tech company, and that was 100% real. And he was making about $400,000 a year. Again, 100% real. I at certain times have verified.
Bitch, please.
Money in his account from his company. So he's making money even though we're having a lot of financial stress. He's still bringing.
She must not never see people forge bank statements, income verification, act like you somebody's manager, act like you a leasing agent for somebody so your friend can get an apartment.
A steady income. So he was able to pay a little bit of the trip and I was able to pay a little bit of the trip. So we go to Portugal. We have the most spectacular week. I remember that was the week that I decided I want to get married in this country. I love it here. It's so beautiful. I was working still at this time, and with the time difference, I was basically working from like 5 to midnight. And there was one day while we were in Portugal that I was just complaining about working. I'm like, I'm so over this job and I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I was just complaining about it. And he just said, why don't you quit? And I remember looking at him like, what do you mean quit? And he said, well, we have this money coming in and I want you to be happy. I want you to do something that brings you joy, and real estate brings you joy. And I really hadn't been doing a whole lot of real estate that year. And so I told him, I said, well, it's going to be like kind of a transition. I'm not making a lot of money. At first he said, well, you're going to have a cushion and luckily I make money. I'm going to be able to afford all the bills and you can just focus on building your business back up. And so I was like, are you sure? He said, yes. And let me tell you, everything about this decision, it felt right, but also felt wrong. And let me tell you, I do not regret quitting my job. I regret the timing because we were not in a great financial position and I was making like $150,000 a year at this job. So it was a very steady, stable income. And I trusted him to be my provider, and that was stupid. And I have never relied on a man or anything in my entire life. And I will never do it again, like never in a million years. But you know, you live and you learn. And I made the decision to put in my 2 weeks notice. And yes, I know that was idiotic. Y'all don't have to tell me. And so
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Because you're so stupid. You decided to quit a 6-figure job because a man decided to tell you to quit your job. A man who sells fucking watches. Girl, a man whose apartments ain't went through. You keep having to loan him money. You know that your money ain't feeling right. Your ass is the one who want to take your ass to Portugal or wherever you was going. And you know you got a job to do. Now you working from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. or 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. whatever, because you still have to keep your job, but you want to still be out here enjoying your vacation. Don't work like that in the adult world. You have to go to work, then you have to schedule time for a vacation. And why aren't you thinking to yourself, if he's a CO, a CEO, whatever it is of a company, why is he able to take so many trips too, as opposed to being at a brick and mortar? Yeah, I understand they sometimes go virtually, but 9 times out of 10, the owner of that company or the executives or whoever is running it, they not working virtually. They in that office.
So we go to Portugal, come back to Denmark, and we're in Denmark maybe a day, and then we travel back to Dallas. And at this point, your girl is hurting financially because now I'm accruing like a little bit of credit card.
And you quit your job. You went on a trip with credit cards, and now you talk about, it's hurting. I bet it is, girl.
My savings is like nothing. And at this point, I'm fully trusting him, and I believe him when he says we are going to overcome this circumstance very, very, very soon. And keep in mind, at this point, I have not caught this man in a single lie. And obviously, I gave out my
You've been lying the whole time. You just ain't sensed it.
way too easily. But in my mind, I was thinking, why should I question him when he's never given me a reason to? Which is crazy because I feel like he's giving me all the reasons with all these red flags. But we go back to Dallas, and I remember his sister and her boyfriend came to visit us for a week, and we had a good time with them. I felt like he was super annoyed with them the entire time. He was complaining. He was just like, I just feel like they're being super cheap. They don't want to do anything. And it just felt like, again, I thought him and his sister would be a lot closer. It was weird. So we have a great trip with them visiting us, and then we go to Miami and meet up with his best friend and his girlfriend. And this was the best friend he was with whenever I met him in Croatia. So we're in Miami, and for the most part, we're using my funds for this trip because he's obviously put a lot of his money into most of his money in his escrow account. And he paid for a little bit of stuff, but he didn't have a whole lot. And I'm expecting this money to hit like any day now. So a couple of days after Miami, we went to Denmark to celebrate his mom's 70th birthday. We had promised her we would go, so we actually booked a
I'm going to speed this part up too. They keep on traveling. He keep on lying, borrowing more money from her. She keep on being scared to ask for her money back. And he keep on saying, you want to take another trip? She keeps saying, yeah, I want to take another trip. She ain't got no job now. So she's trying to use her trips to fund shit, like pay for bills and everything, using it as brand deals, posting for Instagram, TikTok, using him as like one of the models who was coming in and everything in her content. They making couples content. So while all this is going on and it seems super happy in the forefront, and I'm more than sure while she was on social media, she was getting a lot of love, like, oh, look, an interracial couple. Y'all are traveling everywhere. This is so cool. Couple goals. And that's feeling good to her. But in reality, she like,
show me the money.
very rare. And so we went and we were having a good time. Obviously, I didn't know a whole lot of people that were there, but his best friend, the one that he was with when I met him in Croatia, he was there. And we were just chatting outside. And before we had left the house, my ex had told me, I really don't want to go out tonight. Like, I just want to go to the party and then come home. And I said, that's totally fine. And so at the party, we're outside just hanging out and talking to his best friend. My ex is inside the home. And his best friend tells me, he goes, you guys should come out tonight. Like, please come out. And I was like, honestly, I'm down to go out, but my ex doesn't want to go out. And that was really weird for him because he always is down to like go out and have a good time. So I already thought it was a little strange. And then his best friend looks at me and goes, oh, he probably doesn't want to run into any of his enemies from his past gambling addiction. Danish deception, part 13. So just to recap, I was spending Christmas with my ex and his family in Denmark. And the day after Christmas, we go to a champagne party, and that's where his best friend told me that he was having gambling addiction. So when I hear this, I am just full panic mode. I'm questioning.
and what you do, bitch?
I remember it was so cold in Denmark, and I was outside, not even wearing a jacket, and I was sweating because I was just like so overheated.
Yeah.
I have no idea. And at this point, his friend is like mad. Like, he's angry. He's like, are you serious? Like, you didn't know? And I was like, yeah, no, I had no idea. He was like, he told me that he told you. I go,
He said he been sticking his Vienna sausage in your donut and your ass didn't know that he get down to the casino and he go nuts. Is there a section called mom jokes? Because I feel like, well, I guess it can't be mom jokes. Yeah, because, yeah, all right, well, anyway.
He did not tell me, and I've loaned him a lot of money over the course of a year and a half, and he said he owed me money. I was like, he was like, he paid me back the money he owed me, but he did take money from me at one point, and yeah, it was bad. It was like 10 years ago. And so immediately I'm like, can you go inside the house and get him? So he gets my ex walks. I said, do you have a fucking gambling addiction? I remember I screamed it in his face. I did not even care. I was just so mad. And he looks at me, he goes, I mean, I did, but it was like 10 years ago, which did check with what his best friend said that it was 10 years ago. I was young, I was dumb, I was stupid. I would never ever go back to that. And I'm like, well, let's play back all the times that I've given you money. Tell me how to make this make sense. And he's like, I have truly just had a year of so many downs, and I promise you, I would never in a million years gamble away, and I don't know what to do to prove it.
Well, catch me on the year that's up. Since this year all been down, I don't want to be down either. I don't even want to join the gang. Catch me when you on the ups and the ups. All right, catch me when
Like,
you
well,
in the
this
sky.
statement that you just told me about, I'm gonna need to see proof of that. At this point, I'm like, I need to see proof. I've been drinking all night, and we get home, and I'm just ripping him to shreds. Like, and honestly, he's taking it. He tried a little bit to gaslight me. I just was like, you're not gonna gaslight me. You're in the wrong. You lied. You have an addiction, and you didn't tell your wife, and you're the problem. And so it's been a while.
There's so much rage inside of my body when women get to a boiling point and they finally are able to say they shit and they try to like over exaggerate it. Now, did she probably cuss at him a little bit? Yeah, but I don't think that she really tore into him to where she was like, you've been lying to me. No, give me your phone. Let me see everything. I'm so mad. No, she didn't do none of that. She was sitting up there just like, I'm really hurt. What are you doing? Why didn't you say anything? And he's like, what? Just normal here. What? I don't know why I would. Shit, I'm had a few drinks. We was at the champagne party. Now your ass want to ask me dumb questions. Girl, I don't know.
Was fighting. She ended up going to bed that night, and the next morning I'm obviously still very angry, very hurt. And he was working in his office in his parents' house. And so after he finishes working, I'm like, we need to go for a walk because obviously his parents were home and they didn't know what was going on. And his parents were really old at this point. I just like didn't want to bring like any chaos or anything, any drama to the family, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, I should have brought the whole family into what was going on, but I guess my natural instinct was to protect him. And so we go on a walk, and obviously I'm angry, and he like pulls
You a good man. Onyeka.
this document showing me the invoice from the insurance, and it aligns with like the amount that he told me that he had to pay. And so I'm still angry, hurt, all the feelings. And he goes, look at me right now. And I looked at him. He goes, do you really think, you know me? Do you really think I'm capable of doing this to you and taking your money and throwing it away? And I looked him in the eye and I was like, I mean, no, because at this point I had never.
Hell yeah, I think your ass is, because you've been down here selling Chinatown Rolexes to everybody. Ain't nobody buying it. You know why? Because that Protect, however you say it, ain't real. That AP shining like cubic zirconium. That Rolex is ticking it. And I thought you had an explosive underneath that motherfucker. That's what's going on. So yeah, I do think you would take my money and do some stupid, silly shit with.
Never seen a side to him that would ever hurt me intentionally or unintentionally. Like I feel like he always had my best interest at heart, and that he was just a guy going through hard times.
Girl, what about when he threw your ass down the stairs? We always in Rome, Italy, something like that. And you busted your shit open. You looked at it and you was like, why? And then remember you had peed on yourself. You had smelled your dress. She's like, oh shit. Oh, I think I peed on myself. And he was sitting there like, you didn't pee on yourself, girl. You just had a little too much to drink. Didn't get the money I wanted to get off your ass. You all right? Come on. Let's go to the hospital. He slung his arm around her shoulders. He didn't put it around her waist. He slung his arm around her shoulder, just took her basically by the neck. And she was like, girl, yeah, that's a sign.
Maybe it's because I'm brainwashed at this point, but I ended up deciding to believe him. And especially because he showed me proof. I also asked to see his bank statements and everything checked out. And so I let it go. And I said, okay, well, do not ever lie to me again. You're my husband, I'm your wife, and you're gonna be honest with me going forward. And if I catch you in a lie again, like we're gonna have some problems. Already to go to Budapest for New Year's. We found some really cheap flights and a cheap hotel. Honestly, we didn't spend a whole lot of money on the trip, and that's the reason why we went. But we went there for New Year's, had a good time. As you can probably imagine, I paid for that entire trip. After Budapest, we went back to Copenhagen for one day, and then I went back to Dallas, and he stayed in Copenhagen because he had a bunch of work meetings. I'm home, and obviously stressing about this upcoming hearing with the Danish IRS, SCAT, whatever it's called. And I knew it was on January 10th, and I kind of wanted to wait and see if he would bring it up because a part of me was like, I feel like he's lying about all of this. And so January 9th comes around, and long and behold, he says, oh, my hearing is tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, tell me the truth about that. Because if he had just like breezed past the date, I would have felt like, okay, he's lying about this whole everything the business account. And so he tells me the next day he has a hearing. Again, I go to sleep, ball of nerves, wake up the next morning, ask him, how did the hearing go? And he said they ended up deciding to put an 18-month hold on my account. And I'm like, oh, this is so frustrating. Like I'm just so frustrated. I feel like nothing.
Call me in 18 months. Matter of fact, call me in 36 months. That's gonna give you enough time to really knock out some shit. Might be 72. See if I'm still available. Okay. But you just go take care of yourself and your family. Go to therapy. Maybe go to a financial class. I don't know.
Going our way, and he said, listen, it's only 18 months. You're doing well at this point. Like I had those 3 months of escape, and he's like, I have my job, and I'm not seeing any crazy things happening, so we'll be fine. Don't worry, we'll be okay. And obviously, at that point, I wanted to trust him fully, but I also didn't. So I told him,
I ain't worried about the wrong shit, baby. All they did was freeze my account for 18 months. You got money, don't you?
Proof of this, and that's when he shows me email confirmation from his lawyer confirming that there was an 18-month hold on this account, and I saw the email. Fast forward to February 10th, it's our anniversary, and so
made up email. He sent it to himself, girl.
go out that night. And I remember we like talked originally about maybe going on a vacation, but then we ended up canceling the vacation just because we wanted to save some money. And so we ended up just being here for our anniversary. And so we went to a nice restaurant here in Dallas, one of our favorite ones. And we go to dinner, and he's ordering like really expensive wine. Like he ordered like a $400 or $500 bottle of wine. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, it's our anniversary. And I'm like, I know, but we need to be saving money. And then afterwards, one of my good friends was at a cocktail bar and said, hey, you guys should come and meet us. And we are like, sure. I asked him if he was down. He said, yeah, let's do it. So we go and we go to this cocktail bar. My friend is there. She's celebrating a birthday of another one of her friends. Someone that before I know it, my ex is like, I'm gonna buy everyone a round of shots. And we're at a cocktail lounge, just like kind of expensive. And I'm like, is that really necessary? Like I feel like, and I looked around and everyone had a drink in there. And I'm like, we don't need to do that. He's like, oh no, it's her birthday. Let's do it. Like, you don't even know who that girl is. Like, why does it matter? And I remember just being super annoyed because I knew he had just spent like $800 at dinner and we're at this cocktail lounge. And I realized like he's running up a bill here and he's just chugging old fashions. And he wasn't the biggest drinker. Like he drank and sometimes he would get like really drunk, but it was like pretty rare. And most times he could drink and handle his alcohol very well. And so tonight it was really weird because I'm like, we're celebrating our anniversary and you think that he just like wants to be intentional with our time spending it together, and instead it just feels like he's just slamming these drinks. And I was so confused by why he felt the need to get this drunk. And so
he was stressed, girl. He was stressed out. He said, damn, you want to take a trip, then you want to go out to eat, and you looking at me, I'm looking at you. Like, girl, we got to spend your money. Don't be spending too crazy when it ain't on me, okay, lady?
a conversation with my friend, and I'm like seeing him, and he's like slurring his words, and then he's talking to my friend, and I see like a little bit of spit covering his mouth and like land on like her shoulder, and she like wiped it away, and I was like, what the fuck is that? That's just
That's when it's time to take him home.
and so he's drank his like third old fashioned, and then I look up and he's ordering another one, and I look at him, I say, are you sure you should order another drink? And he looks at me, he goes, who do you think you are to tell me when I like what I can and can't drink? And I
Your motherfucking wife. That's who I am. I'm the motherfucker that's about to keep your ass alive. That's who I am. So let's put it on down. And if you got an issue with it, we'd have an issue. But I'm calling the cabin. We're going home. And if you want to yell and scream at me while we go home, you better hope don't nobody call the police on your ass. You don't even belong here. So come on, let's go. She ain't got no power in that relationship. She's talking about, I want to give him. Are you sure you should drink anymore, my love? Should you? You ain't giving him no grace, girl. Talk to that nigga like a toddler. Get your ass up and let's go.
excuse me, I'm just saying, do you need to have another drink? Like, do we need to get belligerent tonight? And before I know it, he's basically just going off on me saying that I'm disrespecting him and I shouldn't be telling him that he needs to slow down and that he's a man. And I'm just confused because we've never really like had arguments like this before. And I'm like, what's your problem? And he's like, you know what, fuck it, let's just go. And I was like, okay, let's go. So we get into the Uber, about to go home, and I'm like, what is your problem? He's like, I just don't like it when you disrespect me in public like that. And I was like, I didn't disrespect you in public. It's not like I yelled, hey, you're drunk, stop drinking. I literally told you right next to you, like there's no one else around. I just said, hey, maybe you should slow down on the drinking. Y'all, I don't know what happened next, but this huge intense fight spiraled out. We get into the house and we are now screaming at each other. He's telling me that I disrespected him, and now I'm getting mad because I'm like, you're drunk right now. Like, what's going on? Like, you never behave like this. The fight escalates and he ends up walking out of the home. And I'm like, where are you going? And he said, don't don't worry about me. I'm gonna get a hotel tonight and then we're gonna see where we stand. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
I don't do that just walking out mid-argument. I don't care if you're fucked up. I don't care what it is. When we're having a conversation, we need to both agree that tensions are too high and we need to both walk away, or we need to keep on having the conversation. But deliberately leaving completely out of the house, not even going to a separate room, unacceptable. Hell no. Now you're taking it too far. Now you're showing me that you really don't give a fuck about this relationship and you're trying to manipulate me by emotions because you know I'm scared for you to leave me. He already know that. Martin already knows about her ass. He already know he could just manipulate her emotions. She gonna do what he say. So he knew when he walked out, she was gonna be like, no, don't leave me. Please don't leave me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna beg for him to stay there with her. And that's him training her not to ask him another fucking question when it comes to how many old fashions he done had. Because does you want her to walk out again? Say something else. I swear I'll leave.
The Danish I'm so baffled and confused. And like the messages he's sending me are just so insane. And this is a side to him that I've never seen before. And I remember I called my best friend Sarah that was living in Germany at the time because of the time difference she was awake. And I'm just bawling my eyes out. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And like she comforted me a lot, but I just was hurt and upset and angry. Just why is he treating me like this? And so next day he says that he's going to come back and get some more of his things and go back to the hotel. And so I'm like, we're still doing this? And he comes over and I'm like, can we have a conversation? He's like, what's there to talk about? Like, I don't know what to talk about. Like you disrespected me last night. And at this point, like, let's have a conversation about it. And he's like being extremely stubborn about the situation. But over time, finally he's like, okay, it's fine. Like, I'll unpack my bags, I'll stay. And I'm obviously pissed off that he just dropped $1,000 on a hotel room, which he spent like $1,500 the night before. It's just like spending money so unnecessarily, and it's making me so mad. I was like, I just want to keep the peace, so I let it go. And even though I'm still very confused at why he's behaving this way. So a couple days go by and I get a message from one of my really, really good friends, and she says, hey, I've been wanting to reach out to you for some time, but did you know that your ex was my husband, $200,000? And I remember I was like eating lunch, I was next to my, I was eating lunch, and I'm just like reading this message, and it's like I couldn't breathe, like I literally could not breathe. And I look at him and I go, what the fuck is this? And he was like, oh, well, you know, we were working this crypto deal where we were selling watches at a profit, and he's being super picky about how much profit he wants to get. I'm trying to find the right buyer, but I'll find it and we'll be fine. And I was like, so you have this money that you owe this man and you lied to me about it? He's like, well, money's not me in watches and it's gonna be fine. Like, I just need to sell them. And so I was like, okay, even though like it's like red flags after red flags, I'm like, there's something up. So I'm really upset at this point because you don't borrow money from a friend. It's not money from a friend and not discuss it with your wife. And so I told him, I'm like, I'm really upset with you that like you didn't talk to me about this, but you know, fine. Well, I didn't say it's fine. I just said this is unacceptable. And I remember that day we really didn't communicate much with each other. We weren't like screaming or fighting with each other. I just like really decided I wanted to distance myself from him. What he did not know was that I was going to message my friend separately, ask her husband if the story that was communicated to me by my ex was true. So I asked her, and she responds to me and says, no, this is not correct. And at this point, it's the husband that's communicated. And for the purposes of this playlist and series, I'm going to refer to these individuals as Crypto and Crypto's wife. So Crypto is the one that's responding, and he's saying, no, none of this is true. He told me he had the watch sold a long time ago. He told me he was going to transfer the money, and I've been asking him. He's been giving me the turnaround time, and you know, his dad was in the hospital. I was trying to be respectful, but also like, you know, this is affecting my work because he works very much in crypto. And so he was gambling, and in that moment, I just fully collapsed to the ground. I remember I was in the kitchen, and it was like I couldn't even stand anymore. Like I just collapsed to the ground, and I'm just like crying. He's like, what is it? I'm like, you're lying to me. You're lying to me. You're gambling. He was like, no, I'm not. Like still lying. And I'm just like, just tell me the truth. Be honest with me for once in your life. Tell me the truth. And he's like, I promise you, I'm not gambling. And then I grab his face and I pull it to me. And I scream in his face. I said, tell me the fucking truth. And he looks at me. He goes, okay, I've been gambling. And honestly, this next part is gonna make you all a little confused, but I actually had it showing 30 minutes after that exact moment. So I went upstairs, I changed, and I grabbed my keys and I left the house. I went and showed a house, and it was
Duh. You had to go to work, girl. We all have to do that. We all have to suck up our emotions and go take care of business, girl.
the bizarre thing ever. Like I was in front of clients smiling, even though like everything around me felt like it was crumbling. So he's obviously texting me like, please, like I'm after showing, like I want to have a conversation. And I'm saying, right now, I just feel like I can't talk to you. So I went to a park and I called my best friend Natalie. I told her, I was like, hey, I have some news for you. She's like, what's up? You can talk to me. I told her that he has a gambling addiction, and I just completely lose it. Sorry, you guys get emotional. It's hard. I just completely lose it. And like Natalie's my best friend. I love her so much, and just being able to like have someone finally like be open and honest about what was happening was made me feel so good because I felt like I could just release everything. And she was 100% there for me. She was in you. Where we go? Like I'm with this man that I love more than anything in the world. I find out he's been lying to me. I find out that he's stolen money from our friends, and I'm just like completely wrecked. I'm like, I don't know where to go from here. And she's like, something you need to know is that this is the rest of your life. This is it. This isn't something that just goes away. This is addiction. And she had experience with a gambling addiction specifically and has seen the damage it's caused. And so she said, this is the rest of your life. Whatever you decide, I will support you, but this will be the rest of your life. And so after that, I go inside the house and he's like, I want to talk. And I'm like, I like still was not ready to talk to him. But I decided to call Crypto's wife, who's my good friend. And I talked to her on the phone, and the first thing I said, I just started bawling my eyes out. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I felt so much guilt, like that I didn't know that all this stuff was happening, and I had no idea. And I just told her, I'm so sorry. And let me just take a moment and tell you, I don't know crypto books. And at this point, I'm still very much distancing myself from him. And then I look at a Gamblers Anonymous meeting, and I find one here in Dallas, and it was an open meeting happening. And I told him, I said, you know, it's still really hard for me to like talk with you, but let's go to this GA meeting. And so we go to the GA meeting. Everyone's like going around circle, telling your stories. I'm just bawling my eyes out during this whole entire thing because I'm hearing like the saddest stories. I'm hearing like the
She's feeling so sad for his situation. She had to find a Gamblers Anonymous meeting for him to even go to. And she's sitting up here crying like she's the one getting into this. Never be more concerned about what someone else is going through than the person going through it. Oh, you ain't sad about you keep on getting beat up by your man or your girlfriend. I'm not about to be more sad for you. I'm not about to keep on advising you the same thing. You like it at this point. Oh, you're not sad enough that you about to get evicted from your apartment. You, whatever happens, happens. So I'm not going to put it on me to try to hurry up and find you a place at the last minute. Your ass is happy in this. That's your problem. Your problem.
beautiful success stories. And so in a way, it like made me understand the depth of what I was going through, but it also gave me hope. And so I, for some reason, still felt like there was like a lot that I didn't know about him. Like there was stuff missing in my gut.
Yeah.
I kept asking him, is there anything else you can tell me? Is there anything else you can tell me? He said no. At this point, I'm still in constant communication with Crypto and Crypto's wife. And Crypto tells me, I was wondering, how would you feel about me hiring Icky Eye to look into his past? And I said, 100%. Regardless, we go there the day before we go to Columbia. We go to their house and we sit down in front of Crypto and Crypto's wife, and I will pick back up in part 16. The Danish Deception, part 16. Okay, let me recap a little bit for you guys. We walk in, I'm already feeling so emotional, and we sit down and we just at first we're just sitting, talking, catching up, and then finally, and you can tell it's like the elephant in the room for like the first 30 minutes that we're there. And finally, I was the first one that spoke. I was just like, I just want to speak on behalf of myself and say that you guys are just two amazing human beings, and the empathy that you showed us, even when it wasn't deserved, will never go unnoticed. And I just, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say, X began to talk, and he basically just said, I know that I did these things, but it almost was like I was a different person. Like it felt like I wasn't in control of myself and my actions, and it was just, he was just speaking from the heart and just saying like this addiction took over me, and I almost didn't know right and wrong. And
I don't know who spent the money. I'm so ashamed of myself. I'm sorry, y'all.
Crypto and Crypto's wife both took turns talking, and they were just so understanding, and they communicated, we understand this is a disease and we still care about you both, and we still want to have both of you in our lives. And it just felt like it was a great conversation, and I felt like we can move forward from here. We're gonna set up a payment plan and everything's gonna be okay. And so the next day we go to Cartagena, Colombia, have a spectacular time.
course.
And I was kind of expecting the proposal.
Y'all travel again.
And I didn't know when it was gonna come. And then there was a night that we went to dinner, and then we went out for a drink, and we came back home, and the hotel we were staying at had a rooftop that was like overlooking the city. And so we went up there with a bottle of wine, and we're just drinking wine and just talking. And I at that moment just felt so grateful for him and for his sobriety and for his honesty. And before I know it, I looked down and he's down on one knee and he tells me, I know this isn't your dream proposal, and I know I've let you down a lot, but I will make it up to you, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be.
Now that we watching it and just paying attention to the important parts, how many goddamn times is he going to propose to her? I mean, now what? Every time he get in trouble, he want to repropose. I told you, this like a motherfucker who get caught doing what he ain't supposed to do. Let's get married.
Man that you deserve. And at this point, I'm just hysterically crying, and I'm so happy. And it really did feel like the happiest moment of my life. And the yes was so easy. There was not a doubt in my mind. It kind of felt like it did whenever we got married. There was no hesitation, but it felt much more deeper this time around, because now I know about his flaws, and I know about his struggles, and I know he's not this, perfect individual, which nobody's perfect. We're just imperfect people that come together and try to have a relationship. So after Cartagena, we come back, and we're just trying to enjoy ourselves, being engaged, sharing it with our family and friends. Because at this point, we can actually tell our friends and family, like, we're spending forever together. So we are so just happy to be able to take it all in. And Easter comes around, and I remember I was making a roast, and I had one of my friends was over, and my little sister, and I'm making a roast, and we're eating on Easter Sunday after we went to church, and my ex gets a message from his mom, and she's like, I need you to call me right now. And she never does that. So obviously we're freaking out, and I'm like, what's going on?
Basically, his dad passed away, so they got to make a trip back to Denmark in order to take care of everything.
And I remember I'm sitting in front of her holding my ex's hands, and I look up at it and I see like he's like starting to cry. Like, that's the first time I've seen him cry. And so I was like, okay, there's emotion there. Like, I don't know where like the emotion's coming from. Like, is it coming from like losing his dad, resentment, from regrets? I really don't know, but I definitely could sense there was emotion there. And so after the funeral, the next couple days, I just spent a lot of time with his family, and I spent a lot of time with his older sister because she was around, because the mom wanted all of her kids and grandkids to be around her. Obviously, she just lost her husband of 50 years, and so I started spending a lot more time with the older sister. And I'm not picking up on like a whole lot of bad vibes. Like, I thought she was super nice, and thought her kids were so cute, and I love babies, I love little kids, so I really started to bond with her kids. And so it was a good trip. Obviously, there was definitely some tension, but regardless, I think everyone got along, and we were able to just support each other while they all grieved like losing notification from immigration. Log into my account, and lo and behold, the petition was approved. And I remember I was relieved for a few reasons. The first one is that obviously we get to start building life here together in Dallas, but also if there was any skeletons from his past, I feel like whenever I saw that. And so I called him, and obviously he was excited. We called our lawyer, asking her what are the next steps, and she said, well, you can stay in the States next time you come, and we can file for a work visa and a travel visa, but you're not able to go back to Denmark. And at this point he was like, since my dad's passed, like, I can work remote. Work's been a little bit slow, so I can work remote. Obviously I might have to pull small nighters, which isn't ideal, but it's worth it to be with him. So I said, okay, that's fine. After a couple of weeks, he comes back to Dallas, and he comes with his mom. This time this is her first time in the United States. I remember just being so excited, and I wanted her to have the best time, because she's just lost West. And I said, hey, are you gonna start sending me some funds? And it was awkward because I wanted to bring it up for a while, but then we went to Panama, he paid for everything, then his dad passed away, and I didn't like, it's just now it's getting kind of awkward for me to bring it up. And so he's like, yeah, I'm gonna send you some money. We go through the trip in Key West, have a good time, come back to the States. He still hasn't sent me money. He's giving me like kind of like a turnaround, and I'm getting a little antsy, and I'm getting very triggered. And so we're in the living room, and he says he wants to just go on the balcony and get some fresh air. And I start creeping. I walk up to the window, and I'm trying to like look over his shoulder at his phone, and he doesn't know I'm looking. And on his phone, I see there's a gambling website, and my stomach is in knots. His mom is currently in the living room with me, so there's nothing that I can really say, because again, I'm still wanting to protect him. And again, I will repeat this one more time. I want to tell the world, but he very much said everyone's gonna view me differently. With the excuse with his mom, he was like, she's an old woman, you're gonna stress her out, and she's not be able to do anything about it, and now she's just stressed. So he was able to manipulate me into not bringing it up to anyone. And so his mom is here, and I don't say a word.
You can't manipulate me to do a motherfucking thing when it comes to my money. That's mine. No.
Instead, I send him a text, and I just say, and it's weird because he's in the same, like, he's 5 feet from me, and I send him a text saying, I see a gambling website on your phone. I'm gonna need to see your bank statements as soon as possible. And he tells me, I'm only on this website because that's where I can watch sports for free. And I was just like, this makes no sense. Obviously, I'm protecting all of it. So I said, I want to see your bank statements right now. He pulls them up, and like at this point, he has his Revolut statements, which I don't know if you guys remember. The very first time I sent him money, I downloaded it, I didn't see anything. So I let it go, but I was very clear. I better not ever see this on your phone ever again. So his mom leaves after having a great trip, and at this point, I'm still like waiting for these transfers. And I'm like, what's going on? And he keeps telling me that he has things to pay for. Like, he said he was helping his mom out with something, and then he said that he had another insurance payment, and there was a few things that he said he had. And then finally, I'm like, okay, I'm done with the bullshit. Like, you need to start transferring me some money. And so basically, he tells me that he's transferred a certain amount. He has a transfer limit that he can transfer to his Revolut, which is how he can send me money. And he's like hit his monthly transfer limit. I don't really know what the fuck that means, but he said he hit it. And so I'm still very frustrated, but he basically says that he can't send me any more money until August timeframe. And during that time, his best friend came to visit, and they say like, you need to start sending me money. And keep in mind, I'm also paying for like most of the household bills. And now like he's here full time, like, you gotta pitch in, bro. And I'm not here to be your sugar mama, even though I have low-key been your sugar mama unintentionally. So I'm getting frustrated, and we get a notification that his work visa has been approved. And so I'm excited about this because because this means that he can get a social, he can get a bank account. And something to keep in mind is when you're married to a gambling addict, you want to make sure you take full financial control. And that was hard for me to do because with his Danish bank account, he had like a 2-factor authentication that scanned his face, so I couldn't just like.
Yeah, no, I'm taking control of the money. I don't care if you are the man. I don't care if you are the husband. No, because we're not about to be broke and struggling because you got an addiction. Hell no. Make that money on your own time. Go spend it when you sell them fake ass watches and them fake ass chains. Don't be spending none of our household money. No.
Login whenever. But with Chase, I was like, all I need is password. So we go to Chase. Tells me that he makes a big transfer to Chase, and that he is waiting for that to hit. And a couple days go by, I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh yeah, okay, the transfer hit. And he shows me an email from Chase, and it said like, we need to verify your identity. And he's like, oh, Chase is asking me for his verification because I haven't done this verification. My account's locked. I'm like, okay, stop bullshitting. I know Chase. I go to Chase. I've been banking at Chase for a long time, and I felt like he was bullshitting. And so he said, you know what? Let's go to the bank and talk about it because I mean, I know I have money in there because I made this transfer like a while ago. And I said, okay, let's go to Chase. And this is when I start like thinking to myself, you know what? I'm gonna play a game. We're gonna go to Chase, and I'm gonna try to get out of the car and go into the bank with him. If he says no, you should just wait in the car, I'm gonna know he's hiding something. And I really just wanted to see how he would react. So we go to Chase. He gets out of the car, and I start to get out. He's like, oh, I'm just and now maybe you just wait in the car. I'm like, red flag. And you know, it was like $1,000 he's able to send to me, and he's like, here's like $1,000. I go, at this point, he told me he was gonna send me like 5,000. And so I'm like, what's going on? Are you lying? He was like, no, I'm not lying. I was like, well, I'm tired of carrying this relationship on my back and I'm over it. And I was like, this is when I start really standing up for myself and telling him that I'm just done with the bullshit. And he gets so angry with me. I remember he had his gym back because the plan was for me drop him off at the bank or me drop him off at the gym. And then I was gonna go to a showing. I drop him off at the gym and he slams the car door. He goes, don't worry about picking me up, I'll walk home. And I get home and I'm like, can we please talk about this because I want to squash this. He goes, the way you talked to me was so disrespectful and I'm not okay with it. There's money in that account. And I said, listen, I'm getting triggered. Like I feel like you're lying about a lot of
Same thing again, trying to manipulate her emotions by getting more mad. Oh, you mad? I'm mad.
things and it's making me feel like you're gambling. So I just need you to tell me the truth. He's like, I am telling you the truth. And like, you disrespected me, making me feel like less of a man, that like you know, supported us more than I have. And I was like, I'm not trying to make you feel like less of a man. I'm just telling you that I'm fucking tired of carrying this shit on my back. And he storms off, goes upstairs, goes in the guest bedroom, closes the door, and he refuses to talk to me. And like, luckily, I had a work event that night, and I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to go. And then finally, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go. I need to get out of the house. So I go. And at this point, it's really hard for me to hide my emotions. And a lot of the people at my last real estate firm probably remember this event. I showed up and I just was like bawling my eyes out and like walked. So basically, I'm on the couch, and it kind of worked out because we have some really good friends that. I grabbed the key to the car, my friend's car, and I like kind of sneakily snuck out of the house. I didn't want him to hear the garage be like, where's she going? So I snuck out of the house. I went to Chase and I put his card in. I put in the PIN code and it was accepted. And I clicked the lovely button that says check balance. And what was in his account? 34 cents. And we will continue on in part 8.
Now, some more issues that happen in between. I'm going to just summarize the points. She is ready to have her dream wedding. Her parents are going to pay for the Nigerian wedding, and then he was going to pay for the American wedding, and his mother was going to send money for the wedding. He was going to send money to her mom for the Nigerian wedding. Basically, money going around everywhere, all on his dime. But as you lead up to appointments and dates, he end up not sending money. His mama end up not sending money to her, and she's like, why are you not paying for the shit that you said you pay for? Keep in mind, she's talking to a gambling addict who don't have no money. It's crazy how he can get money over to his friends, but he can't get money over to his woman, his wife's family, his family.
I feel like he's lying to me. He's upset that I'm not believing him, and he ends up leaving the house. He's like, I'm gonna go to Costco. So while he's in Costco, obviously I'm just spiraling, and this is a moment where it hits me. I'm like, what if everything's a lie? And I don't know why. Like my subconscious has been thinking this all along. This is the first time I fully am asking myself this question. And so I'm laying in my bed, and I start playing with the app, and I start looking at it, and that's the app that he sent money to my mom. And obviously he sent me screenshots. I sent the screenshot to my mom to verify it's gonna be hitting on August 15th. And so I start
Screenshot. That's the keyword.
around with the app, and I just, I wanted to see what it would be like if I wanted to send a big payment. And the way Revolut works is you have to load the money into Revolut before you can send it to anyone. So I'm just playing around with it, and I do a test transaction, and I'm trying to send $10,000 even though I don't have 10K in Revolut to send. So I click schedule payment, and I put just whatever date, and I see the next page, which is the review page, and that's when I realized that that was the same screen that he showed me, and then I sent to my mom saying that he sent payment, and what he did was pop out the schedule payment button. So it looked like he had sent the money, but he really did not. So at this point, my entire body is shaking, and he gets back from Costco, and I can't say anything because my best friend and her daughter are staying with us. So I'm trying to keep it chill, and keep in mind this friend does not know anything that's going on. So after we unload the groceries, he's like, I'm gonna go upstairs and change and get ready for the gym. So I follow him upstairs, and I asked him, I said, I'm gonna ask you one question. Did you send that money to my mom? And he said, of course I did. I go, I'm gonna ask you again. Did you send that money to my mom? And he said, yes. And I pull up the screenshot that he sent me, and then I go back to Revolut, and I show him the exact same screenshot where he brought the schedule review. And he said, our screens are different because I'm using a version from Denmark and you're using a version from the US. You're using your US phone. So at this point, the slides are just getting bad. I'm like, you're lying about everything. I go, let's have a chat and let's let all of this come to light and be done with it. And he said, I don't have time for this. I don't want to listen to this. And then he storms out of the house, and I will continue on Danish deception part 3. It's so hard to really convey everything just based on memory. So I send him a screenshot of the test transaction that I did, and then the screenshot that he sent me for my mom. And I literally put them right next to each other, and I said, here's a side-by-side comparison for your reference. You've been caught red-handed, but if you want to keep lying, by all means, do your thing. And you can clearly see that you dragged it down to remove the schedule payment button. And then I had the test transaction with the schedule payment button circled. He says, I'm telling you, Anika, I made the transfer to the account she gave me. I would have come clean right now if I had it. At this point, I think we should call off the weddings. We are not working as a team, and I don't want to keep fighting over this. Your mom will get her 10K as soon as I get it back. No, let me rephrase that. We are calling it off. I'm doing my best. Now it's time to focus on my own mental health. I will stay at a hotel for a few nights. This is all too much for me. Once I get the money, we can discuss if there's a future, but the weddings are off. So at that point, I'm just, what is happening? This is just, I'm so confused. Obviously, I had just bought my wedding dress and I was planning this wedding, but the weddings weren't even like on my mind. I just knew that he was struggling with something really, really big, and I wanted to know what it was. And the weddings, at this point, I was like, let's cancel the weddings. I don't even care. I was more focused about his well-being and making sure he was going to be okay. So I do another test transaction, but this time I actually loaded money into Revolut and then I sent it to myself. And so I said, FYI, this is what it looks like when you actually make a transfer in Revolut. And I did like $200, just a small amount. And I said, the lies need to stop. Aren't you tired and exhausted? Do you think I want that for you? He goes, don't worry about me. I'll go to Denmark either tonight or tomorrow. I have enough miles to book it. Then we'll figure out the business account and you will be made whole. After that, we can figure out the next steps. So to answer your question, yes, I'm tired, but I'm more than tired. I am done. So I said, is what I want. We don't need space. We need a relationship that's open. So you want to focus on your mental health, keeping up with your
Block. Come get your shit. Get the fuck out.
You're blocked. We're not doing this back and forth. You're not about to tear me down because I'm starting to get mad that you ain't doing what you said you were supposed to do. And on her end, if you sense a red flag, bring it up. Talk about it. And also go with what you know. If you feel like the motherfucker ain't making no money and he lying, so you just steal the money from him, you say, you know what? I feel like that's what you're doing. You lying to me, Martin. Yeah, I think I'm done with this relationship too. But what she does to me is manipulate him back by using his green card.
And taking on the stress is destroying your mental health. You say you want to work as a team. How can we if you can't be honest with me? I'm here for the good, the bad, the ugly, but we can't work through any of this until you can give me the honest truth. So he gets back from the gym and he walks in the house. He walks past me. He walks past my best friend. Goes up to the room. I follow him into the room and I go, hey, can we talk about this? He said, what is there to talk about? I told you, I'm done. And I go, what does that mean? He says, I want a divorce. And at this point, I'm just done because never once has he mentioned leaving me or divorce or anything. So I'm shook. And then he proceeds to tell me, he said, you prioritize your friends and family above me in our relationship. I've never felt like this is my home. I'm a guest in this home. My stuff is in the guest closet. And I'm like, your stuff would have been in the master closet. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm just sitting here just so confused. And he said, you only love me when there's money in my account, which is crazy because there was tons of times where there wasn't money in his account. And I'm just still trying to talk to him. So I'm like, I love you. You're the love of my life. He goes, you were the love of my life. And I feel so hurt, but I'm also like, this can't be him talking. This has to be the disease. This has to be the addiction that's talking. And so I'm so
gambling. The gambling addiction is telling you he don't love you, girl.
Communicate to him and he's like, you know what, don't worry, I'm gonna fly back to Denmark, I'm gonna open up, get the money from this account, make sure you're whole. And I also have received an offer to be a CEO of a company in Denmark making $1 million. And so now I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's for sure spiraling. Like, this is 100% the addiction. And it's insane because at this point I should have just been like, okay, go buy it and be done with him. But I'm very much still fighting for the relationship because I don't think that there's anything crazy big that we can't navigate and come through together. So we're not making any progress in the conversation. So I leave. I go to my friend Rebecca, I said, let's go for a drive. So we take her daughter and go to the lake and I tell her everything and I just break down and she start crying,
we know.
In like this fight or flight and I just wanted to fight. So while we're at the lake, he sends me a message. He says, are you all gone? If yes, do I have enough time to pack my suitcase? And I go, we drove to the lake. And I said, I love you. We're gonna figure this out. Let's take some space. But flying to Denmark is not the answer. And he says, I have made up my mind and I'm not changing my decision. We are both exhausted. Our individual peace has been at stake for too long and we need to step back. We tried. God knows we fought for it, but the battle is over. Let's find peace each on our own. Let me know when you're heading back. I packed the first suitcase. I might do the other tomorrow. It's a bit difficult for me as well. So after being at the lake, I go upstairs trying to talk to him and he's just not even wanting to be within like 5 feet of me. I'm like, let's talk about this. Like, please, like, tell me what's going on. Like, you wouldn't be spiraling like this if there wasn't something that's going on. Like, I'm your wife. Like, we can get through this. And he said, no, I'm done with you. I'm going to leave tomorrow. I booked a flight.
How many times you gotta say it?
Never see you again, and I will only talk to you when it's about getting you your money. And at this point, I'm just like, what? Like, it's now been an hour and he still has not backed down from this idea that he's leaving me. So out of your desperation, and I have never experienced this level of desperation before, I go into his work bag and I take his passport and I look at Rebecca and I said, he's not leaving. I'm gonna get to the bottom of what's really going on. And she looks at me, she goes, do you, girl? Like, support you. So we go onto the patio just to get some fresh air. And I look at the doorbell camera and I see that he's left. And he had 2 big check luggages packed and then his carry-on. And I see that he only left with his carry-on and his work bag. And so I send him a text. I go, take your space tonight and remember that I love you and I'm grateful that you're my husband and I will never stop fighting for you. Good night, my love. And at this point, I'm angry, but I'm being nice because I've done so much research on addiction. And I know whenever an addict is spiraling, the worst thing you can do is fight them back. I'm just trying to be calm. Space able to come and be honest. I'm done. Today has shown me that I won't have anything to do with you other than settling my debt. After that, I can breathe again. So obviously, I had a horrible night. I cried myself to sleep. The next morning, I wake up and my best friend says, hey, I'm gonna go to my other friend's house. She had another best friend that lived in Dallas, so she was visiting the both of us. And I was more than okay with that because I didn't think this was a good environment for a child anyways. And I knew he was gonna come back to the house. And I thought that was for the best. And so I come back and my ETA is like 12:30. And I know he said he was gonna leave around 1. So I was like, okay, I'll have some time to intercept him. I get home and everything is gone. His bags that were gone. And I don't know if anyone's ever experienced being left by a spouse without knowing, or even a partner in general, but it is the most devastating feeling in the world. And especially someone that you shared your life with, they're there one day and the next day they're gone. It is just gut wrenching. And I honestly at that point just start screaming. And I sent him a text and I said, I have your passport. He said, what the fuck is wrong with you? I go, leave home, baby. I get people you love and I love you and we will get through this. And he said, this stunt literally cost me thousands of dollars. My decision is made. Remember who's fighting who. And I said, we just need to talk through this. I know you're hurt and I'm sorry for my part in this, but you're my husband and we will get through this. We're building a life here with friends and family. He said, I'm over it, but don't worry. All your troubles will go away. Now it'll just take a day longer and cost me more money. I don't care anymore. I really don't. I say, I don't believe that. You wouldn't have married me if you wanted to get out easily. He said, well, okay, but I'm getting a temporary passport, so I'll be leaving. And you made sure to take my green card too. So even if I wanted to come back, that's not possible. Take care. And you think I'm giving up easy? You're delusional. I said, I can mail it to you. And at that point, I'm freaking out because I did take his green card. So I get in the car and I said, I can bring you your passport and I can bring you your green card. I'll go to the airport. He goes, don't worry, I'm on the phone with the consulate. They'll figure it out. I don't need you. And I said, I'm on the way with the passport right now. I'll be there in 20. He said, I'm not going to see you. Trust me. I said, okay, I'll turn around. But I also can leave the passport at the front desk so you don't have to see me. He goes, don't worry, getting issued an emergency passport. Don't you fucking leave my passport anywhere. This is the most insane situation I've ever heard of. And guys, this is my favorite text in the entire thread. Call on your friends and family. You prioritize them. Now they can show up for you. And just to be very clear, I do not give a fuck if you tell everybody everything. So here I am telling everybody everything. So after that message, he says, there's no coming back from this. And I text him back and I said, okay, I will accept that now. And I had reached full acceptance because the fact that he had told me that he doesn't care if I tell everybody everything means that he must really be done with this marriage. And so
they keep on doing this little back and forth. We together, we not together. He keep begging her to come back. She keep being like, and this is when I got my power. And I told him, heck no, I'm not coming back to you. Then all of a sudden they broken up again. Then she find out he done borrowed money from her sister, her auntie, her cousin, her grandmother who is up in heaven with the Lord. Done borrowed some money from Smokey the dog, who is also her emotional support animal. Done borrowed money from the Haitian lady down the street. You know, they got street beef, but they don't really say nothing about it. They just look at each other funny whenever they in the grocery store. She found out he borrowed money from the whole damn community that she was living in, and she didn't even know about it. Yeah, girl. Yeah. But like we said in the beginning, shall we read the statement again? Did they break up? Unfortunately, no. She's a director at his fake company now. I'm not sure if he has her so strung along she thinks it's a real job, or if she just decided that's what she's doing now. It's a mess. I agree. I know y'all couldn't stand her, and neither could I. This was a good laugh and a good time. If you enjoyed the video, please go ahead and like it. Have your notification bell turned on so you catch me each and every single time I'm here. And I'll see you guys in the next video.